can count ballots that are postmarked beyond their accepted time and date. But you never know with this United States Supreme Court. Voter integrity, obviously, on a lot of our minds. As we were discussing with Chris Hand during the crossover, my biggest concern is that there will be shenanigans, that there will be cheating, because the Democrats are not above cheating, and they are aware that they're losing. And when you put a dangerous dog in a corner and that dog is fearful of its life or livelihood, and it believes that you are its central threat, that dog will do just about anything to get out of that corner. And that is where I believe many Democrats are. They have mentally painted themselves in that corner through Trump derangement syndrome primarily. And that's where we'll start the show today. Trump derangement syndrome. We'll do that right after I offer you the pleasantries, such as it is locked for Trump Day 244 days of, my hair was short when we started all of this, and it ain't short that short now. But for 244 days, I've made a commitment that I want to see a new president-elect. I did this long before Joe Biden decided to leave the race. And we'll keep it going if Donald Trump does, in fact, become the 47th president of the United States, at least until Inauguration Day. So it's 244 days of that. It's day 685 of our visits together and 4 days to go before the presidential election. Speaking of, we have our election watch party happening in Lebanon. Several of you, I was talking to folks last night. Why is it over in Lebanon? Well, so more people can come. That's why. So the people of Lebanon and Murfreesboro and, of course, Nashville and the surrounding communities. I understand that it's a little bit of a drive for some of you, but I promise it will be well worth it. VIP area is full, absolutely full. We were overwhelmed, inundated, if you will, with individuals buying tickets for the VIP area. But never fear. There are plenty of places for you to be, plenty of room to park, plenty of room to gather and move around. We've got food trucks coming. We got drink and libations offered to you. It will be a big party. Let's hope that it does not turn into a funeral. That is happening starting at 5 o'clock. Now, Brian will start at 3, his show, obviously, and we'll start up the proceedings. We'll open our doors at 5, and then before you know it, the rest of the gang will be there. Dan Mandis, Chris Hand, Matt Murphy. Now, it is my distinct understanding that Ken Weaver, our illustrious newsman, will be back at home base, kind of holding down the fort.
I'll be right here in the news closet.
You'll be gathering headlines as well as numbers and feeding those numbers to Wilson County.
I'll be gathering headlines and numbers, and I'll be cutting up audio, as we say in the business.
Mm-hmm. We've got another illustrious newsman, Jay Harper, will be on the scene at the Marsha Blackburn closed-door event. That election night watch party happening in Cool Springs, and I think he's going to be reporting back to us in Wilson County and maybe to you here at home base too, Ken Weaver.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'm so excited about this thing. Can't tell you. Now, I'm probably more excited than you, Ken Weaver, because I'm not going to be in the news closet. Hasn't this poor Oklahoma Sooner fan faced enough this fall?
I'm telling you, man. I'm going to bring me some snacks.
I don't blame. Hey,
I'm gonna have some snacks to eat in between newscasts.
I might be able to help you with some of those snacks. Well, I know a girl.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I know a girl. She's pretty good at it. So.
Oh yeah, you do.
Oh man,
yeah.
Chocolate pound cake. That's all I'm saying, Ken Weaver. Chocolate and pound cake.
I gotta be careful of that, Brother Murphy.
I tell you what, it'll spike that blood sugar.
Yeah, well, I'm not worried about my blood sugar. I'm not gonna run away from it for that.
I was asking Weaver, and while we got you on the line here, Ken, who your Oklahoma Sooners play this weekend, Ken Weaver?
Boy, we are taking on the University of Maine Bears.
Oh man,
I don't know anything about them, but I know a whole lot about us. And I'm really not worried about anybody else. It's us I'm worried about.
Oh, well, y'all, you know what they say, when the Sooners and the Maine Bears get together, you can throw those record books
boy,
out the window.
Yeah, I think they're either going to air it on Hallmark Mysteries, or I think they're going to go ahead and do away with the Christmas shows, and they're going to put it on Hallmark Christmas.
See, I must have gotten misinformation, because it was my understanding it was going to be on HGTV, because them Sooners have been buried for the year in the backyard. That's so mean. I shouldn't be that way. You're such a good man. I should try to lift you up. Oh. Sadly, though, I've watched enough Oklahoma football. I don't think that I can. I don't think y'all just need you a quarterback,
dude.
And an offensive line, and maybe a wide receiver.
Well, we need all of it, dude. I mean, unfortunately, I think we were wrong about our quarterback. I think he's actually pretty good. It's just our offensive line they just can't block, man.
Yeah.
And, we fired our offensive coordinator. Yeah, when you're firing your offensive coordinator in the middle of the season, you've got problems.
You don't even wait, because normally that's an end of the year, calm the fan base down type of, hey, we're going to be better next year, and here's one reason. Here's a demonstration how we're going to do that.
Yeah, they're not that patient over there in Norman, Oklahoma.
I think you're wasting a pretty good defense, too.
Oh.
I think they're on the field too much.
Our defense is I'll put it to you this way. Our defense, I think, has played good enough to win some of these games.
Mm-hmm.
But man, when you don't have an offense, and in the SEC, you've got to have both. You cannot just get by on a good defense.
I love it. I love the new SEC. I love the debate about who should go to the SEC championship game. All that stuff will shake itself out. I love the 12-team playoff, and the Sooners will be back. Y'all have too much of a tradition over there.
Well, we're I don't make excuses. Because you've got to recruit. If you're going to be in the SEC, you have to recruit to be good enough to get over injuries. In other words, you got to have depth. And on offense, we don't have that depth. And that's a problem.
Well, Kirby said it. My boy said it a few weeks ago. He said, listen, nobody is going to have the depth like some teams used to be able to have, because there's too many kids that are freshmen or sophomore that you would expect will wait their turn 10 years ago or 15 years ago. They're not waiting their turn now. They're going to a different team, even if it's a quote-unquote lesser team, so that they can play a time.
Right.
I mean, it's just we live in a different world. Now, a lot of people on the Super Text line, Ken Weaver, are responding to you.
All right.
For example,
are they being nice?
2425 says, Weaver, sorry we broke your team, signed Vol Nation. That's so mean. Y'all are so mean.
Well, we had those injuries before the Vols. I mean,
Steve in Marietta, though, says, the Sooner fans have got your back, Weaver. Good for you, Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
There you go, Steve. 8727 says, I thought that the Sooners game was on the Sci-Fi Channel.
They're going to create a channel on Pluto to air it.
Pluto TV.
And
or the planet.
It'll be the
former planet.
Tape delayed.
Pluto, formerly known as a planet, now it's just a bump in the road.
Well, it's a free TV app.
All right. Well, there's a little sports on the news talk. By the way, it's hate week for me. I am.
Yeah, boy.
I can't stand if the Florida Gators were playing the Saddam Husseins, I would root for the Saddam Husseins. I'm just telling y'all. I'm being honest. That's all I can do is be honest with you. All I can do.
I'm going to tell you, Florida fans are difficult. They're very. They're very difficult.
I'm such an SOB, right? Ken Weaver is the nicest person on the planet. And if y'all don't know that already, know it right now. And so Ken says, they're difficult. You're a hard fan base to like, Gator fans. I'm trying. They are difficult. They're different. They wear a lot of gold chains. They do. And jean shorts all over. Gators wear jean shorts, Ken. Jean shorts.
Yes, they
jorts.
do.
Yeah.
That Dan Mandis is a big fan of jorts.
Is he now?
Yes.
God, Mandis actually missed a real good shot to be a Florida Gator fan. Now that I think about it.
Where is this year's game?
Well, we're still in Jacksonville at the old cocktail party. We do the Jacksonville deal, the cocktail party deal down in Jacksonville.
Okay,
and they're going to renovate the stadium in the next couple of years, and I think we're playing in Atlanta and Tampa. But Georgia fans want to do a home and home, but they won't do a home and home. So there's too much money in it, Weaver. The city pays each team like $10 million each.
Oh well,
or something like that.
Well, you got to go do that.
Yeah,
how far a drive is it for Georgia fans? It ain't far, is it?
Out of Athens,
like if you wanted to get in the car, you could go do it.
Jacksonville's just right across the line virtually. Right. But from Athens, probably 5 or 6 hours.
Oh, that's nothing.
Oh yeah.
That's nothing.
I was letting Ken right before the show started. I was letting him listen to a Lindsey Scott call from Larry Munson. And if you are a football fan, you might be familiar with this call. This is old school when the radio guys had personalities.
Yes, sir.
And I'm not knocking any radio guys now. I love them all. And but it was back during a time where you maybe saw your team once or twice on television.
Right.
Kids, gather around the radio. Uncle Ken and Uncle Matt are going to tell you how it used to be.
Yeah.
Because remember when if we got Georgia football twice a year on television, that was great.
Yeah.
Right? So what did you do? You turned on your radio and you listened to the game on the radio. Yep. And Larry Munson, did y'all have a guy like that for the Sooners?
Yes.
Back in the day?
Yeah, we had John, now I can't remember his last name, John Brooks.
John Brooks.
Yeah, John Brooks, he would go, Germany Christmas! Yeah, John Brooks and Mike Treps were in the 70s and the 80s. And that was his thing, was Jiminy Christmas.
And I know that, and I will never be able to remember it, but I know that you guys, you Tennessee folks who are listening right now, y'all had, he was an absolute,
They'll let us know. They'll tell us.
Why is the name Ward coming to mind? I don't know. They'll tell us on the super text line.
Yeah.
But I know y'all had a long time, because he would say, I think, y'all, I'm a Georgia boy, so y'all forgive me, but it's football time in Tennessee.
Awesome.
That was his thing, right?
Awesome.
But Larry Munson was our guy, and Munson actually called games for Vandy for a short amount of time. Before he moved over to the University of Georgia, so we swiped him from Nashville. He actually was on television in Nashville on a television station. He was a sports anchor on a TV station, and then he went over to Georgia, and he became absolutely renowned and famous for his calls. I mean, he was a homer as you can get. I mean, he literally would say.
But they all were back then.
Yeah, he would say us and them.
Yeah.
But he was such a pessimist on the call. I mean, we could be up by, I know we're up by 3 scores, but there's 2 minutes left in the game and they've got the ball. And I mean, everything's just on the brink and edge of disaster. Yeah. And there was and I won't belabor it because I've talked too much about it already, but there was a moment in time in 1980.
Oh, that was a good year.
When Georgia was the #1 team in the country.
Yes,
we had
sir.
a young man behind center by the name of Buck Ballou, and behind him stood a young lad. You might have heard of him, number 34, Herschel Walker.
That rings a bell.
Yeah, name might be familiar.
Because he rung bells, boy.
Man.
Whoo, you don't get in his way.
Yeah, they asked Vince Dooley, he said, what's the game plan? And he said, well, I think we're going to run Herschel. I mean, this is an actual quote. They asked him, so, what's your game plan? And I think this was in the national championship game or something. He's like, what's your game plan? He said, well, I think we're going to stick with what's worked this year. We're going to run Herschel right. We're going to run Herschel left. We're going to run Herschel up the middle, and then we're going to do it again. And I was like, what? That's so awesome. But anyway, just enjoy it if you want at your leisure. Go find the Lindsey Scott Larry Munson call where he talks about breaking through his chair. And I was telling Kent, he's on the radio and he never says that he scores a touchdown because he doesn't have to. The excitement in his voice is enough.
You know what's going on.
You know exactly what's going on. And then he talks about Georgia fans destroying some property that night. Man, is there going to be some property destroyed tonight? Let me tell you, no property destruction on the part of conservatives coming up Tuesday night, because I think conservatives are going to be quite happy, libertarians alike. But I do fear property destruction in major metropolitan areas, and we need to address this as we move forward on this Friday, because I'm telling you, liberals are not going to take to losing very kindly. We'll discuss next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Take your calls. It's a First Amendment Freestyle Friday. It's episode 685. Bell, today's episode is entitled
Matt Murphy. There's a Georgia game tomorrow, so this show can't end soon enough. He loves you, but not as much as he loves the Bulldogs.
I think Bell just spoke for like 80% of the audience. Then it's like, would you just shut up about your stupid team and tell us what's going to happen during the election? Thank you. You know, if we had talked more before we got together on the show, Bell, you might have titled the episode a little something differently, because I was bitten in the face by a pit bull last night. That is an absolute true story.
Goodness.
I'm going to tell you the story in a moment on Super. That's a professional
probably
tease, by the
deserved
way. Yeah, that's a factual statement. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hello, friends. Matt Murphy for the Tennessee Men's Clinic. The Tennessee Men's Clinic is located, two locations, as a matter of fact. One's in Midtown, been there since 2014. The second location started about a year and a half ago in Franklin, the Cool Springs area. Why a second location? Because, one, they were very busy at their first, and number two, the popularity of what they do at the Tennessee Men's Clinic, which is getting men back right in terms of their energy levels. Yes, it's about bedroom activity. Yes, it's about intimate relations with your significant other. But it's about more than that as well. It's about feeling energetic. It's about feeling yourself. It's about not losing that verve or vitality in life just because your age says that you're in the middle of your life cycle. So let's get with the Tennessee Men's Clinic and let's solve those issues that you might see cropping up. Get them solved right now by going to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com and looking at your various options, or give a call, schedule an appointment. 615-208-9090, 208-9090.
Well, the U.S. says it expects thousands of North Korean troops to go into action against Ukraine. We'll tell you about it at 12:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you much, Mr. Ken Weaver. John Ward, thank you to all of you. I knew Ward was in my head for some reason.
Right.
John Ward.
Yes, sir.
It's football time in Tennessee.
Football.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Okay, by popular demand, only because people on the membersnutrition.com super text line have asked for it. It's a minute long, so you'll indulge me, but understand that this is a pretty darn good call.
Back third down on the 8. In trouble. Got a block behind him. Going to throw and a run, complete to the 25, to the 30. Lindsey's got 35, 40. Lindsey's got 45, 50, 45, 40. Run, Lindsey, 25, 20.
Run,
50,
Lindsey.
5. Lindsey's got. Lindsey's got. Lindsey's got.
Oh, no, he's about to talk about breaking his chair. Hold on.
Well, I can't believe it. 92 yards, and Lindsey really got in a foot race. I broke my chair. I came right through a chair. A metal steel chair with about a 5-inch cushion. I broke it. The booth came apart. The stadium fell down. Now they do have to renovate this thing. They'll have to rebuild it now. This is incredible.
Listen.
You know, this game has always been called the world's greatest cocktail party. Do you know what is going to happen here tonight? And up at St. Simon's and Jekyll Island and all those places where all those dog people have got these condominiums for 4 days. Man, is there going to be some property destroyed tonight. 26 to 21. Dogs on top. We were gone. I gave up. You did too. We were out of it and gone. Miracle.
I gave up. You did too. That is an announcer understanding the people he's talking to. I don't care what fan, if you're a Tennessee Volunteer, I don't care what fan base you follow. That is a guy who gets it and understands how to communicate with his audience because he knows every person listening to him had given up. You've got a minute to go with 92 yards. You've lost to this football game. You're the number one team in the country. You just lost to the Florida. I mean, I just love it. I love everything about it.
Absolutely, man. I mean, it's the personality that you can't replicate it. And you miss it, man.
I tell you, I mean, and as good as we've got it nowadays with every football game on every television at every moment and part of me misses those days. I mean, where where you're sitting around the radio and you see it in your head, and and they're painting word pictures with their language and their word. I mean, it's just, we try to do it on the radio in our own way, whether it's doing a newscast or whether it's telling a story regarding what's going on in the world. I don't. I just, sometimes I get a little soppy and sentimental and long pine away for the old days. These are the sound of days, kids. Okay, Mr. Jimmy is checking in.
All right.
I love this. Mr. Jimmy, we got a minute or two before Ken Weaver's newscast, but I want to make sure you're doing all right. How you doing, Mr. Jimmy?
Yeah, I'm hurting.
Uh-oh. Yeah,
I just took 2 Tylenol. Maybe that'll help.
Well, I hope so.
Know. In the old days, I would go get me a half a gallon of vodka.
Jimmy, you shouldn't be hurting that bad. You got a nice nap in on the air yesterday.
I've been clean and sober for 41 years.
Yes, sir.
I bet you might be thinking about that vodka now, though, huh?
Yeah,
a little bit.
Doesn't count if it's medicinal.
Everything seems to have turned out okay, though, Mr. Jimmy, outside of a little bit of the pain.
Yeah, I think so.
And they happy with the results?
Yeah. I've heard the news a while ago at 12 o'clock before you come on, and it talked about a car accident there in Benville.
Yes, sir.
That there's some high school people pulled out in front of a semi and got hit. A couple of years back, the same thing happened here on the highway between Shelbyville and Murfreesboro.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it was at Bell Buckle there. A bunch of schoolgirls was talking and texting her or something, and they pulled out in front of the semi, and I think the parents sued the truck company, but it wasn't the driver's fault. Those girls just pulled out. And so all they did was put up a yellow blinking light there at Bell Buckle.
Yeah, I mean,
so that's all they'll do, make Benville.
Well, it's a tale as old as time, Mr. Jimmy. Young folks, I mean, you and I were back. We did our own share of fast driving and back in the day. You know what I'm talking about.
Yep. Also, it said that my old team won the World Series. I was used to be an old Brooklyn Bum fan.
You know, Mr. Jimmy, that you're a Dodgers man. That's proof, because I like you so much. That's just proof that nobody's perfect.
Yeah. Well, back in the 50s and 60s, it used to be always the Dodgers and the Yankees and Dodgers. I was always for the underdog.
Well,
so I was glad to see the Dodgers win the other day.
Well,
I hear that they're moving from Los Angeles to Las Vegas now.
yeah, one of those teams out there is moving, Mr. I don't think it's the L.A. Dodgers. I think it might be the Angels, but one of those teams out there. Well, listen, Mr. Jimmy, I'm sorry to do it, but I got to get to Ken Weaver in the newsroom. But I just wanted to get to you real quick. Thank you for calling and checking in with us.
I'm doing all right. Just
Good.
having a little pain.
Well,
Nothing in my old days, but maybe a half a gallon of vodka.
Yeah.
Cheap vodka would cure it.
That bottom shelf stuff will give you a headache, Mr. Jimmy.
I'm hoping that I never had a headache or got sick or drunk or nothing.
Well, you have a good weekend. Rest up and call us on Monday, Mr. Jimmy. I appreciate you. It is 32 after the hour on Super Talk.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast coming up in 5 minutes, and the U.S. says it expects thousands of North Korean troops will likely go into combat against Ukrainian forces in the coming days, many awaiting a possible move by Seoul. We get Patrick Reevell here at the Foreign Desk.
South Korean officials that they're very concerned about this development, and they've said that they're even considering potentially sending military equipment and military aid directly to Ukraine, which would be significant. South Korea has very large stockpiles of ammunition and advanced weapons because of its own preparations to defend itself against North Korea. I think the question now is whether South Korea will do that. They have a lot of opposition to that inside their parliament as well.
Right now in Middle Tennessee, Channel 4 says the Harbor View neighborhood in Donaldson votes this weekend on whether to install LPR cameras. They're tired of waiting for Metro to move on it, so the Homeowners Association has come up with the cost and says it's going to be tens of thousands of dollars. They break it down to about $4.50 per resident, a price tag some think is well worth it.
Half of the equation is just making sure that people who are opportunist criminals know that this is the wrong neighborhood to mess with. We're confident we could have 4 cameras to cover the area and create a kind of a virtual gate around the community.
That HOA meeting tonight at 6. They could vote tonight. The FBI has joined the search for a band of robbers thought responsible for a series of jewelry store holdups in the Midwest. Here's Jim Ryan.
Wearing Halloween masks and armed with an assault-style rifle and a hammer to smash display cases, they storm in and take over. This is security video from a jewelry store in Dearborn, Michigan. The FBI's Christopher Hess says,
anytime somebody's willing to go into a public place with a weapon drawn in broad daylight, we have to consider them armed and dangerous.
The same group has been tied to similar robberies in Illinois and Missouri dating back to July of last year.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
You know, friends, everyone's thinking about our country and our country's future. I want you to think about where you spend your money. You can get in the fight right now with the Conservatives credit card at Coin. Instead of funneling millions of dollars to the left like other cards, Coin was created specifically to advance conservative values and to give to conservative charity. And you can find out more when you go to coin.com or look them up. Read their backstory. It is an intriguing one, and you can earn cash back while fighting back. Apply now at coin.com. That's coin.com, COIGN.com. Terms apply. Go to coin.com/disclosures for full details.
Hey everybody, Dan Mandis with Super Talk 99.7 WTN and Nashville's Morning News. Right now, we are bringing results for our clients using both our radio and digital assets. 2025 is going to be a huge year, not only here in Tennessee, but of course, across America. If you want to jump on board, again, we're offering great incentives. Find us online, 997WTN.com, and let's talk.
Populations of animals. I mean, think about the white-tailed deer and how when Ed started, and maybe even before Ed a little bit, they started, working to bring these populations back. And now we have these sustainable populations that we can hunt.
Yeah.
The story of the eastern wild turkey and what's happening with turkeys. So I would consider all these things great successes. The conservation efforts that have been worked on by the personnel for years, I would think that it's a great success story for our state.
You're going to see some footage from an old film that was produced here at the agency in the Game and Fish days, and which shows some things like, the wife taking care of the animal that the officer, the husband, had to bring home to take care of, because they got a call, and times have changed. Now we have the rehabilitators that help out with that kind of thing. And
thank goodness. We got to be really good friends with some of those little animals. And got my first commission in 1972.
Okay. Yeah.
At that time, it was a little different. The whole law enforcement world was different then.
Yeah.
So anyway, we got the first commission in 1972 and worked all over the state. It was really great to be able to do that. Pretty much, you had one uniform. I noticed in the movie too, everybody wearing ties. For years and years, you had to. If you wore a long sleeve shirt, you had to wear a tie. It didn't matter if you were doing enforcement or sailing a pond or whatever you were doing. You had that tie on.
Oh wow!
Wow! And then everybody looked forward. There was one date, and it kind of moved. It was generally around April the 1st. You switched from long sleeves to short sleeves, and you didn't have to wear a tie. And everybody's going, "Come on, April 1st."
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Matt Murphy until 3, alongside Ken Weaver. Bell K's behind the glass, making sure that everything that comes out of our speakers sounds as good as humanly possible. We appreciate all of you being a part of the show on this Friday edition. Friday J starts at about 1:05 this afternoon with our good friend, life consultant, legal correspondent, and gambling buddy, Jay St. Clair. And at 2 o'clock, we did not have Cameron Smith on Wednesday. He was out of town, and so he's going to swing by in the 2 o'clock hour and give his assessment of the election that will be culminating on this Tuesday, November 5th. Very excited about all of that. Yes, I will get into the Liz Cheney. Well, what's most intriguing to me on the Liz Cheney issue is that anybody with a brain that's gone back and listened to what Donald Trump says, you know exactly what he meant. It is as clear as the bloodbath comment. It is as clear as the very fine people comment. This is the media attempting to manipulate stupid people. That is what it is. The media is attempting to manipulate stupid people or lazy people who don't bother to do their own homework or research to the point that they're trying to interfere. I believe that the media is currently engaging in election interference. Now, I'm not saying that we should do anything about that because I believe in freedom of speech. I am a censorship-free zone. I am in the free speech business. But what these people are doing amounts to election interference because they are knowingly distorting the truth for their own political purposes. Tell me what else it is. Tell me what else it is. I'll wait. But we'll do that a little bit later on from now. Right now, I promised you that I would tell. I got bit in the face by a pit bull. So I'm at a Halloween gathering last night. I went as an MS-13 gang. I went as a Kamala Harris voter. And by that, I mean I went dressed up like a member of MS-13 that had just walked across the border, said the word asylum, and off I go to engage in whatever amount of illegal activity that I want to engage in because, why wouldn't I? Anyway, so we're there at a party. I was there with our good friends whose names will go unspoken because I don't want you going to their house for the free beer or candy. So they were handing out candy for the kids and beer for the adults, draft beer for the adults, which is my kind of joint to hang out at. And so everybody's having a good time. Carly is the pooch in question. Carly is a doll, right? So I'm having a great time with Carly. We're rough. Well, Carly and I. She is, I don't know if she's pure pit, but she's somewhat pit, and she is the sweetest thing. She is the picture of innocence and sweetness. And she really is. She has no idea what size she is. She has no idea how hard her head is. And we were playing around on the floor in the aftermath of the party because that's what I do. I find the dog and play with the dog for most of the party. And I was like taking her bone, Belle, and I had the bone in my hand. I was like, oh, you want it? And she would like grab at it. And I was like, no, you can't have it. Oh, you want it? And I'd grab it. No, you can't have it. No, you can't have it.
You would give a free pass to Cerebus.
Well, yeah.
The dog, the three-headed dog that guards the river Styx. Yeah. You would be like, oh, he's adorable.
He's very cute. Carly is honestly very cute. It was so I'm snatching the bone, and she's trying to get it, and honk, honk, honk. And for some reason, one of my angles, I brought it to my face, and she went honk and got me right on the nose.
Oh, that's an accident.
Oh, it was absolutely an accident.
You're making it sound like I got mauled by a pit bull.
Yeah, there you go. I want sympathy from the folks. No, it was an accident. But she got, like, one of her little teeth got right inside of my nose, and she immediately knew what she did because she was like, oh, no, I didn't mean to do all that. And then
you started it.
Right. I just wanted my bone back, man. Anyway, I felt bad for Carly, and she's the one that bit me. Accidentally, it was a total accident.
She's just playing.
No, we're all good. But I have not had a nosebleed in a long, long time. But I did last night. Had a great time at my Halloween gathering. Hope you had a great time at yours as well. Okay. So Joe Biden goes on a Zoom call. And Joe Biden says that Donald Trump supporters are garbage. The media immediately begins to attempt to repair his obvious gaffe. Now, whether you want to believe, and I happen to believe that the Democrats truly do feel this way about Trump supporters, but they're never going to say so out loud. Of course not. They're gonna talk. I mean, they talk out of both sides of their mouth all the time. They compare MAGA rallies. I mean, they were literally a week ago comparing a MAGA rally to a Nazi rally. And Joe Biden says the quiet part out loud that his supporters are garbage. No, we like everybody. We like all the voters. Wait, a minute ago, you were literally comparing them to Nazis. Not Trump. You were comparing the rally itself to a Nazi rally, meaning the people at Madison Square Garden in support of Donald Trump are Nazis or like Nazis. Yet when Joe Biden says it out loud that they're garbage, oh, no, we would never say that. And Kamala Harris, oh, no, I love everybody, and I love all Americans. And do you? Well, maybe ladies stop talking nasty about half the country. How about that? I'm just fascinated that if they think if they use this MAGA label, it insulates them from what they're saying about half of the country. So Joe Biden says the quiet part out loud, and they back up from it, as far as they can. Oh, no, we weren't. No, we didn't mean any of that. And they conveniently don't mention the fact that all of the media outlets were making these comparisons. CNN, the disgusting network that hashtag CNN has become, sadly. I mean, I wish we had better news coverage. I wish we had better news networks. I wish I had better stories to tell about them, but they're just awful people. You want to talk about garbage. This same network that was making the direct comparison, that was showing photographs of the 1939 Nazi rally and then showing photographs of the Trump rally side by side. Look, see, same, they said. Look, see, same, they said. Then Joe Biden says, oh, no, that's no, he didn't mean that. There was an apostrophe there. The magic apostrophe that magically has now appeared in the transcript. Isn't that convenient? Certainly isn't what it sounded like he was talking about, but whatever. And now this. So the same media networks that spent the last 24, 36, 48 hours defending Joe Biden, defending Kamala Harris, and explaining, no, Donald Trump and the Republicans are taking him out of context. Donald Trump and the Republicans don't mean any of that. Donald Trump and the Republicans know what they're doing. Oh, of course he wasn't talking about this group or that group. He was talking about that one comedian only. Donald Trump and his supporters are, it's shameful that they would take Joe Biden out of context the way that they're doing. And before they can get any or all of this out of their mouths, there's yet another example of the mainstream media doing what they've done since he came down the escalator. Donald Trump said that Nazis and the Klan were very fine people. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. Go back. It's on audio. There's video and audio of the event. He said that there were very fine people on both sides. And he clarified what he meant by saying that. And he only said that after he condemned the neo-Nazis and he condemned the Klan members. He said, but there are people there that simply want a restoration of these monuments to make sure that they don't get removed. The bloodbath hoax is another easy example. Go listen to what he said. He said that our automobile industry will experience a bloodbath if Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have their way. That's true, by the way. Oh, and a news story that you probably didn't hear anywhere else. Ford announced that it's suspending its Lightning truck. You know why? You know, the all-electric Ford F-150, the Lightning?
Demand?
A lack thereof, yes. Mm-hmm. Because people that want a truck with an internal combustion engine.
That can actually pull something.
That can actually do a job all day long, and you don't have to worry about charging it up that night before you go back out and do the job again the next day. And then there's this one. Donald Trump was sitting and speaking with Tucker Carlson last evening.
Is it weird for you to see Liz Cheney, that'd be Dick Cheney's repulsive little daughter, running against you with Kamala Harris?
Well, I think it hurts Kamala a lot, actually. Look, she's a deranged person. But the reason she couldn't stand me is that she always wanted to go to war with people. I don't want to go to war. She wanted to stay in Syria. I took them out. She wanted to stay in Iraq. I took them out. I mean, if it were up to her, we'd be in 50 different countries. She's a radical war hawk. Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it. You know, when the guns are trained on her face. You know, they're all war hawks when they're sitting in Washington in a nice building saying, oh, gee, let's send 10,000 troops right into the mouth of the enemy. But she's a stupid person. And I'd have meetings with a lot of people, and she always wanted to go to war with people.
That's the full context to the conversation that he was having with Tucker Carlson in Glendale, Arizona.
She's got to keep her daddy's legacy alive.
Is anybody unaware of what Donald Trump was saying? That it's easy for war hawks sitting in Washington, D.C. that have no fear of facing the barrel of a gun, that have no fear of actually having to go fight the wars themselves, that have no fear of actually dying in these wars. What Donald Trump said is more respectful to our soldiers than Kamala Harris has ever been, because he recognizes that there's real blood that get spilled in real wars, that people die, that families lose their loved ones for the rest of their lives. Liz Cheney doesn't seem to get it, nor does her father, Dick Cheney. They never got it.
Oh, that's right. I was thinking of McCain. There's so many war hawks that are out there now these days.
Well, at least
and isn't it
McCain
funny,
served.
Isn't it funny how when she has that opinion, that type of person is the first one to get their kids out of having to go?
Oh, yeah. Fortunate Son, a fabulous song by CCR, written to that end. That it must be nice to be a senator's son because you don't have to go to Vietnam if you're a senator's son. The point being is that if you had to go and be on the front lines, you might think differently about some of these wars. It was obvious to anyone who listened to the full context. Yet the mainstream media, no matter how much you hate them, you don't hate them enough. They are disgusting in what they're doing. This amounts to election interference, what the MSNBCs and the CNNs are doing. Because by the way, did Donald Trump ever say firing squad? No, but the headlines are, Donald Trump calls for Liz Cheney to be executed by firing squad. That is not what he said.
Not even close.
Not even close to what he said. He said maybe if she was the one that had to go to war, she might think twice about being such a war hawk. Maybe if it was her family on the front lines. I mean, the spirit of his comment was obvious to anyone listening. Yet they've got to take him out of context, which is a demonstrative way that you know that they're desperate. They're desperate. They're afraid because America sees through their garbage. And I believe in my heart that as long as this election is fairly contested, Donald Trump's going to win Georgia. Donald Trump is going to win Pennsylvania. And Donald Trump is going to win the presidency of the United States of America because he gets it, because he, as much as they want to characterize him differently, he does have respect for our United States military, and it was just demonstrated in that comment because he understands that real people have to fight these battles, and real people die. It's 53 after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My man, J.K. Brister, is the presenting sponsor of our election night watch party with U.S. Past. That's right. J.K. loves this country. He loves the United States of America. He believes in this country, and he believes that we can make America great again. And part of the way you do that is to get rid of the communist pests that are inside of your home. So thank you to J.K. and his team for sponsoring and being our presenting sponsor of the election night watch party. We appreciate him. If you want to shake J.K.'s hand in person, he'll be there Tuesday night. It is my firm understanding. Plus, if you want a great pest control company, you need to keep this pest control going over the winter months. Just because it's getting colder doesn't mean that the bugs and the creepy crawlies are not trying to get into your home. They are. The mice, the rodents, the termites, they don't quit. Just because it's cold outside, they don't quit. Let's get protected with U.S. Pest. USPesta.com or call at 590-1260. 615-590-1260 for U.S. Pest.
We are monitoring the subway chokehold case against Marine veteran Daniel Penny. Details at 1 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
And I'm glad Ken Weaver's back there because he keeps me on top of some of these stories. Thank him so much. We'll get to a couple of your calls before Friday coming up in just a moment. Man, oh man, oh man. I mean, it's going to go like gangbusters from now. I mean, next week is going to be insane. I mean, this weekend's probably going to be insane. And I'm here for every single moment of it. I absolutely love it. Sally wants to know, didn't the Beatles write a song called the Magical Apostrophe Tour? I think that's correct. I think that's accurate. That's accurate. The Magical Apostrophe just bounces around wherever they need it to go. You think Kamala loves her some Joe Biden right now? I mean, he got her off her game for 48 hours. Oh, but the media's back after it now. They got a Trump quote to mischaracterize. When's the last time somebody got executed by firing squad and they gave them a rifle? Because that's what the man said. I mean, for those of you who want to try to mischaracterize what he said, give her a rifle and have 9 of them pointing back at her. Idiots. But they know what they're doing. They're awful, horrible, election interfering. Yeah. Thank you, Joe. Here comes Ken Weaver. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. In New York City, opening statements today in the subway chokehold trial. Marine veteran Daniel Penny accused of killing on the subway Jordan Neely last year. Each side casting Penny in a different light. Details from Aaron Kotersky outside the courthouse.
To prosecutors, he recklessly disregarded the risk that his chokehold posed to Jordan Neely's life back in May of 2023, disregarded Neely's basic humanity, and prosecutors portrayed him as a vigilante who held his chokehold for far too long, well past the point when Neely posed any kind of a threat.
The defense saying Penny acted to protect fellow subway riders after he saw Neely threatening female passengers. Penny faces up to 15 years in prison if convicted of manslaughter. Election 2024.
My friends, we're thrilled to be here. We have got just 4 days to go, 4 days to turn Michigan red and 4 days to make Donald J. Trump the next president of the United States, and we're going to do it.
Asked GOP Vice Presidential nominee J.D. Vance in Michigan moments ago. Karen Travers is covering Vice President Kamala Harris.
Vice President Harris will make 3 stops in the critical battleground state of Wisconsin Friday. She'll first visit an IBEW local union hall in Janesville to meet with workers and give remarks. She later travels to Appleton, where she'll hold an event at a school and focus on health care. Tonight, her campaign's holding the latest in its When We Vote, We Win concert series, a large rally in Milwaukee featuring several musical acts and remarks by rapper Cardi B.
As of yesterday, at the end of early voting in Tennessee, more than 2.2 million Tennesseans voted early, according to the Tennessee Secretary of State's office. Here in Middle Tennessee, a bus problem has some local parents scrambling.
Some Wilson County parents say they're frustrated over constant school bus cancellations.
If I didn't drive her, my daughter would be missing multiple days of school every single week, which I can't imagine she would be able to pass.
Erica Case telling Channel 4 the school bus doesn't come at least 3 times a week. Many other parents say the same thing happens to their families. Well, Wilson County Schools says they just don't have enough substitute drivers. Bart Barker of Wilson County Schools says that when one person calls out sick or takes vacation, there's no one available to replace them.
If we had an extra 5 to 10 drivers come aboard with us, it would make all the difference in the world.
Wilson County has increased bus driver pay and added benefits, but for now, the schools are asking parents to have a backup plan ready for their kids. Joan Jones, WTN News.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hello, folks. Matt Murphy here for Defend Systems. Brink Fiddler and the rest of his team. Gloria's on the team, Tracy, Adam, and the rest of the crew. They want to hear from you, particularly if you're a business owner or if you're in charge of where people gather, right? That's the bottom line. If you are in charge at a church or at a school or at a place of business or any place else that people gather, like an event space, you need Defend Systems in your life. They're a life safety and security consultation firm based right here in Middle Tennessee. They are all about the dangers that exist in the world and how to prevent those dangers or how to react in case those dangers come to your door. Sadly, it happens. Is the possibility great? No. No, the possibility is very, very low, as a matter of fact, that you'll see any sort of workplace violence or, God forbid, a shooting at the workplace or at your school or church. But it is not zero. And because it is not zero, Defense Systems exists, and they are good at what they do. Call them today for customization at your facility for rapid response medical training, emergency intruder action plan, security improvement consultation, all customized to your facility. DefenseSystems.com online, DefenseSystems.com online, or 615-236-6484, 236-6484. Hit it, fella. It is the Matt Murphy Radio Show, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. 2 more hours to go before we'll call it a weekend and hand off to Brian Wilson and The Drive. Thank you for being out there. Friday upcoming. Do you play Wordle? You ever played Wordle?
Yeah, I have, yes. And where the hell did the first hour go?
I don't know, just...
It's like I blinked and it was over.
Zoomed right by. Libertarian lunch, just like that. Boop. Over. Yes, and I thought it was a pretty good one, if I do say so myself. I feel like I didn't, last couple of days, I've been off. I have felt off. Bell says it doesn't sound that way, but I have felt off
the
last couple of days.
You're wrong. You may feel that way, but you have not been off.
But I got to tell you, last hour, go back and listen if you missed a moment. I thought last hour was fire.
Pretty strong.
I thought it was pretty good.
Especially the top and bottom.
Yeah, that right there's your A+.
By the way, we accomplished our task, Ken.
What's that?
You know, Ken Weaver and I love football, particularly college football, but football generally so much that we can't help ourselves to indulge just a minute or two on these Fridays. And we had a lot of great positive response, a lot of people enjoying listening. And then the one guy said, why don't you and Ken just go ahead and get yourself a show on 104.5?
I thought you had one.
I was like, well, you know what? That wouldn't be a bad idea. I think it'd be a pretty good show, Ken.
I'd do it.
I'd do it myself, you know? Come in and talk the foosball.
Yeah.
Bobby Boucher.
We'd have Bobby Boucher's mama come in there. She might fix us up some of that catfish.
That scene where she goes all in and she starts sobering up the cheerleaders. Yeah. And then Lynn Swan's interviewing the girl and she gets in the background and Kathy Bates starts dancing. It never fails to crack me up. When she realizes she's on camera, she starts dancing in the background. Foosball is the devil.
Oh, we get Vicky Ballancourt to come on with us.
Vicky Ballancourt, show me your boobies and I'll lay them too.
Get that professor to come with us. I think there's something wrong with his medulla oblongata.
How's that precious mama of yours doing? That's awesome. You don't talk bad about his mama.
Last time on.
Oh, man. Bobby Boucher.
So, all right, we're getting to Jay in a minute. We're getting Jay on the line here. But before we do, there's Dave in Trousdale. Hello, Dave. How are you?
Nah, man, Dave's not here, man.
Yeah, I'm looking for Dave. I'm Dave.
Yeah, Dave's not here, man. Hey, Mr. Murphy, I got a quick question for you.
That's a wonderful Cheech and Chong reference lost on younger listeners. I like it. I like it, Dave. You know what? Hey, Dave, can I tell you a quick story?
Actually, it's Sarge.
Oh, is it Sarge? All right. Well, it said Dave. So
that's it, Dave, because I wanted to.
You wanted to do the joke. I got you. I used to do this all the time, and I stopped because nobody ever got it. Every time I had a caller on the line named Paul, I would say, I wrote a song once about Paul. I named it Me and Paul. And that's an old Willie Nelson line because Willie Nelson wrote a song called Me and Paul. And nobody ever got it, so I stopped doing it. Anyway, Dave, what's going on in your world? Sarge, pardon me. It still says Dave on the line.
No, see, I woke up early this morning and I put on the Fox News Live on the YouTube, and they were talking about the this morning shooting in Orlando. And as they started getting more in it, they mentioned that this kid had been charged with grand theft last year. How in the world could that be just 1 year later? He hasn't gone to trial. What do you think that take could be?
I don't know. I will admit to you, Sarge, that I don't know a lot about the case. I've not heard the story, so I would need to do a little background research as to why in the world someone would be out of jail after being charged with grand theft auto.
Well, I don't know. It was auto. They were just saying grand theft.
Oh, okay, grand theft, not grand theft auto. Got you. But
no, it was. I was just thinking if anybody would know, it would be the great Matt Murphy.
Well, I will. I'll tell you what I'll do, Sarge. I don't know, but I'll find out. Is that fair?
All right,
I'll figure it out.
Good, and I got you. I've been off all week, and I've had you on YouTube all week.
Love it, brother. Well, I'm sorry about the YouTube thing because of the face deal, but But other than that, thank you. I appreciate you YouTubers, you YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitchers. That watch Super Talk TV, I appreciate the fact that you overcome this ugly mug in order to watch the show. I appreciate that. I know what you're waiting on. You're waiting on the top and bottom of the hour to see the beautiful face that is Ken Weaver's.
My mom would tell you to say that?
Yep, she did. I get paid handsomely to compliment that beautiful face of yours, Weaver. All right, it's 12 after the hour. It's time, ladies and germs. It's Friday on Super Talk. 99.7 WTN. It is time. Every week at this time, you can have any and all of your legal questions answered with our man. He's our legal correspondent. He's my best friend, my life consultant, my gambling buddy. He's a good Tennessee man and went to school up north at Yale, and I said it as loudly as I possibly could. His name is Jay St. Clair. Hello, Jay.
Hey, buddy.
I have a question for you, Jay.
All right.
How you doing?
If I was any better, man, you and I'd be bent over a craps table, shooting dice and getting served by ants.
That's right.
Can I ask a question real quick?
By the way, we've been to the Gold Strike in Tunica enough that we now know the name of the woman that's going to take care of us at the craps table. It's
of course
Ann.
you do.
Yeah.
Why does Jay tolerate you not using the superlative of the only lawyer you know batting 1,000 at the Supreme Court?
Well, I mean, everybody knows it.
No,
I mean,
they don't.
He's a humble man.
No,
I know him.
Jay,
I know him.
Do not be humble.
Well, it's in my nature.
That's right. I heard a song the other day. Speaking of, remember Mac Davis?
Yeah, Lord, it's hard to be humble.
When you're perfect in every way. It's pretty good.
Look in the mirror.
I get
better
looking every day. Jay, I'm going through a rough spot, and I got to talk to somebody about it. But I'm having a tough time with Wordle nowadays. My goodness gracious.
Well, it comes and goes. It's freaky. It's kind of like the dice.
That's true.
I wouldn't worry about it.
That's true.
No, I wouldn't worry about that.
I mean, I would have sworn it was fifth. I mean, I thought they were trying to pull one over. You know what I do? Sometimes I guess words because I think they're smart, and I thought, election day's on the 5th. That's what I was doing. Oh, I bet they're doing the 5th because election day's on the 5th. And, of course, it ain't the 5th.
No, I have decided you can overthink it. I'm just kind of going on first instinct. I've got strategies. I use the same starting word every day, and I have certain strategies off of that. But I wouldn't worry about it. I mean, it's freaky. They took away the averages for us. It used to, you could get on there and see your average, and you're a good player. I mean, you hit lots of threes, and you'll get.
Well, I tell you what, I feel like I'm a good player, but I feel like every day I'm compared against the superior Wordle player, and at least in my circle of friends, and that is Jay St. Clair. You're pretty good.
I appreciate that. I'd say I bet your average is mine.
Well,
I bet you're about 3.7.
If you're not playing Wordle, you're doing it wrong. And I started playing that Connections, which is pretty good too, but we'll get into that later. So, Jay, before we get some legal questions in here, and by the way, get on in here, 615-737-9986. A number of you are already asking some questions on the super text line. You're invited to do so. Jay loves them. Jay, earlier this week, the Supreme Court weighed in on this case involving Virginia and voter integrity and purging voter rolls from individuals that do not have a constitutional right to vote in a presidential election. And this was, you had two laws at play, as I understand it, and I might be misunderstanding, and that's why I've got you. So the 1993 federal law that informs states that they cannot do wholesale voter poll or voting roll purges 90 days before an election.
Right.
And then you have a Virginia law that was passed in 2006 and signed by the Democrat governor at the time, Tim Kaine, who ran with Hillary Clinton. He was her running mate in 2016. And that gives Virginia the ability and the authority to remove individuals that have denoted themselves as aliens in this country. Now, you can be an alien legally or illegally, but either way, you don't get to vote in a presidential election if you're not a U.S. citizen.
Right.
So the Supreme Court weighed in a vote of 6-3. They said, of course, Virginia can do this, and of course, people can file provisional ballots. What do you were you surprised? Let me ask it this way: were you surprised that the Supreme Court weighed in on this?
You know, I really wasn't, man, for a couple of reasons. So, number one, it doesn't affect a whole lot of people. The numbers aren't that large. And number two, there is absolutely a safety net of filing a provisional ballot. So Virginia was just following their law, and they got it in under the 90-day rule under federal law. So, no, it doesn't surprise me because it's not a huge change. It's just the numbers aren't big enough to affect the outcome of the election.
Well, and I do think it is. It's telling that the court decided to kind of. States have carte blanche in how they engage in elections, but the federal government has interceded just in a few ways. And one of the ways that they do is they want, I forget what it's called, but they want to check off, particularly on southern states.
Right.
Because
the Voting Rights Act.
Well, that's right. And the Voting Rights Act, doesn't it apply certain provisions of that specifically to the southern states?
No, absolutely. No question about it. And Alabama got some of that knocked out a while back. It's very technical, but it's basically free clearance. That if you make any change, if you want to make any changes to your election laws, you got to go say "Mama Mia."
Right.
You got to go to the Feds, Justice Department, and they have to pre-approve it. You can't just put it in place. So they treat you like second tier states. And, there's some history behind that, but you'd like to think maybe we're past most of that. But yeah, here, I think the real, in my mind, if I were deciding the case, is the provisional ballot thing. It's not going to prevent anybody from voting, but legally. If they want to vote, they can vote.
And I think, if I remember, because I was, of course, in Birmingham at the time of that, it was Shelby County v. Holder.
Right, that's right.
Eric Holder being the Attorney General, I suppose, I think Alabama made the specific argument that look, the time is past that you can treat us differently than right. You can't treat Alabama differently than Oregon or Alabama differently than Minnesota.
Yep.
That's exactly right. And I think the courts agreed with them. All right, your call's on the way. Paul is on the way. Vicky's on the way, and a number of questions on the Super Text line. We're going to get right to them with our man Jay St. Clair right after this. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
U.S. intelligence officials say Russia put out a fake video about election fraud in Georgia. We'll tell you about it at 1:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
24 minutes after the hour. Can't wait for that, Ken Weaver. I guess I'll have to. 5 more minutes or 6 more minutes to go. Jay St. Clair is with us. We got a number of your calls on hold, and a number of folks want to ask questions on the Super Text line. If you want to jump in there, 615-737-9986. Jay, before I forget about it, I don't know if you've seen this, because I know you're on the X machine that Elon calls it now, the Twitter machine, at J. St. Clair. I think I have that right. You're not on the Facebook, right?
No. No.
Have you seen the photographs of your
correct?
Yeah, have you seen the photographs of your grandchildren? Uh-oh. I think I lost him. You there? I'm putting him on hold there, Bell. Let's see what we can do. Yeah, there you go. Uh-oh. I think I broke St. Clair. His Halloween, obviously, last night. And
you got some cute grandkids?
Oh, my goodness. One of them was wearing one of those dinosaur costumes. I love those blow-up dinosaur things. Is Jay back? All right. Jay, have you seen the photographs? Has Chuck sent you the photographs of your grandchildren?
No.
You need to see your grandson.
Halloween?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he's in, I don't know. These things get me anyway, but he's in one of those blow-up dinosaur costumes with the little bitty T-Rex arms. Oh, you got to see it. It's just, Chuck's got to send you those photographs. All right, let's go to Paul, who's got a question about employee tips. And I think we might have the man to talk to about employment law. Paul, what's up?
Guys, I have been waiting weeks to finally be able to leave my business and call in, so thank you.
Yes, sir.
And since you guys are both gamblers, we're going to lay all the cards on the table. So, about 3 months ago, we took my old cash register, tossed it in the dumpster, put in a new POS system, which included a credit card machine that we can now take tips from our customers.
Okay.
So, Jay, I need your help here, because the last thing I want is somebody above me breathing down my neck.
Right.
I have basically decided a certain type of way to divide the tips. I have people in the back of the house that make a product that allows the front of the house people to do their job and sell. So I pull a certain percentage every 2 weeks when I do payroll, and that gets designated to the back of house people. Then I take the remaining 70% and I divide it amongst the front of house people based upon the hours they have worked.
Right.
Give me a dollar amount divided by the hours. So they all pick up this amount per hour that they work. Am I okay doing that?
You know, have you looked at, did you do any research on this to come up with that? Here's why I'm asking, Paul. There are very specific rules that govern tip pooling and tip sharing. Very specific rules by the Department of Labor. I will confess to you, I don't have all of that memorized in my mind this very moment. So it's a very technical area. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to find me on the internet. I'm very easy to find. J. St. Clair at Littler, LITTLER.com. Send me an email, and I will send you the regulations, and we can talk about it. It's just it's one of these. I tell people 95% of the time your common sense will keep you out of trouble, but 5% of the time it won't. Well, this is one of those 5%. It's very technical.
Yeah.
So reach out to me, and I'll give you chapter and verse of what you can and can't do.
That's awesome. Because, the next caveat is, what if one of the two owners has to fill in on the front of house because somebody called in sick?
Now, listen, this conversation will take an hour, and it's not fair to the other people listening on the radio. So you reach out to me directly, and I will get you fixed up as the Tennessee Vault.
Well, that's pretty fixed up. All right, Paul, it's JAYSTCLAIR at Littler.com.
I love it.
All right.
I love it.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, brother. All right. Absolutely. Jay's your man. And Jay, you're so kind to do that for him.
I'm glad to help. Listen, good Lord's blessed me a lot, and this is about. Here's what I tell people about that man. When I go up to the pearly gates and St. Peter opens up the book of life, there's going to be a lot of big black X's over on the right side. So I'm looking for some green check marks on the left side. So when people like Paul approach me about this, I'm not doing him a favor. He's doing me a favor.
Oh, that's good.
He's giving me a green check mark in a book of life.
Well, I know you can get him fixed up. He's your man, Paul. I know you're still listening. Jay is absolutely your go-to guy for that kind of thing. Vicky is next. Actually, Miss Vicky, hang on just a second. I'm going to put you on hold. I'm going to put Jay on hold because I am guilty, and I admit this. I'm trying to be better about not making Mr. Ken Weaver wait. And Mr. Ken Weaver's got news to talk to you about, and he's going to do that in just a moment. We'll continue with your calls and questions of Jay St. Clair on this Friday in just a moment. Get them in, 615. If you don't want to call, you don't have to. You can get them in via the super text line, 615-737-9986, 615-737-WWTN. As we continue, yes, we'll talk about Mark Cuban. Several of you are asking about that. We'll go back over what Donald Trump actually said during his conversation with Tucker Carlson and what he did not say. By the way, didn't say anything about a firing squad. Matter of fact, I've noticed that CNN's pulled the chyron that says firing squad because somebody has noted that he never said those words, and that's not what he intended anyway.
Why do they care? They lie all the time anyway.
I mean, why? Election interference, just have at it, apparently, over at CNN. So all of that coming up right after the news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is 1:30 on the dot this Friday afternoon. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. Election 2024. U.S. intelligence officials say Russia put out a fake video purporting to show election fraud in Georgia. The video in question shows someone claiming to be a Haitian immigrant. This person is talking about how he's intending to vote multiple times in 2 counties for Vice President Kamala Harris. Georgia's Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger said Thursday it's fake and likely the product of Russian trolls attempting to sow discord and chaos on the eve of the election. Intelligence officials echoing that finding today, saying the video was manufactured by Russian influence actors. Meanwhile, GOP vice presidential nominee J.D. Vance in Michigan moments ago.
And to my fellow citizens, you are not garbage. We are not garbage for being pissed off that the country just lost 46,000 manufacturing jobs in a month.
In Detroit, Democratic vice presidential nominee Tim Walz.
During the time Donald Trump was president, we lost 2.7 million jobs, 280,000 jobs in Michigan alone, 9,000 in the auto industry when 6 plants closed.
Here in Tennessee, 2.2 million people voted early, according to the Secretary of State's office. And Hurricane Helene recovery update. The body of the last missing Impact Plastics employee has been found. The Unicoi County Search and Rescue Chief reported finding the body of 29-year-old Rosa Andrade in a debris pile along I-26 on Wednesday. Multiple state agencies investigating the factory after the families of employees accused it of not letting them leave with enough time to escape Helene's flooding. Andrade leaves behind a husband and 2 children, according to reports. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy. The Glock Store is one of our sponsors of our big election night watch party coming up Tuesday in Lebanon. at the Ag Center, the Ward Ag Center on the Wilson County Fairgrounds right there. And we appreciate the Glock store for doing so, but they're giving back. Man, oh man, this is a great deal. So if you come out to the election night watch party, you will be able to enter Glock Store's raffle to win a tactical hydration mug, which I've seen I have one of these things. They're pretty cool, right? They were doing these things gave some away at the VP watch party. Prize number 2, 3 different range sessions at the Shoot 270 rooms, Neverlane's rooms at the Glock store. And grand prize, oh my goodness, a Glock 19 customized with Donald Trump's name on one side and his likeness on the handle, and an American eagle on the other side, an American flag on the other. I mean, it is a beautiful gun. You can find out more at glockstore.com. That's glockstore.com. I appreciate everything they do for their community. They are a go-to destination location in Nashville, Tennessee. That's how beautiful the showroom is. That's how awesome the shooting rooms are. And they are givers. They give back with that Glock 19 giveaway. Man, oh man, come out and see us on election night. Thank you in part to the Glock store. Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Considering that Jay St. Clair is not only a fine legal mind, he's also my life consultant, my gambling buddy, and my best friend. I don't so much mind the fact that he's a lawyer, but now I got another lawyer, Jay, in here in the form of Cameron Smith. And there's just too many lawyers, Jay. Too many lawyers, I think.
Well, no, I guess there's one behind every telephone pole.
That's true, Jay. I'm just here to listen to your wisdom.
Jay, actually, when we finish up with Ms. Vicky and a couple of these questions, Cameron's just brought something to my attention that I was unaware of, and we might need, I don't know. I mean, we got a good legal man over there in Cameron. He's a good activist. We might need a little additional legal expertise with this deal that he's got going on, and it has something to do. I'm just gonna tease you with it, with raccoon ownership, Jay.
Yep.
Raccoon
Absolutely.
ownership.
Everyone excited.
And everybody should be excited about this. But before we do that, Ms. Vicky is on the line. Hello, Vicky. Thank you for holding. How are you? Hey, Vicky. Boy, oh boy, Vicky. What you got to do is stop listening on the radio, and here's what I'm going to do. You're going to hear me in about 20 seconds say this, so I'm going to say it off the line. You got to stop listening on the radio and just listen on your phone. That makes it so much easier. if you're just willing to listen on the phone for a moment and not on the radio station. All right, so let me get back to my questions for Jay St. Clair. They're loading. How about a class action defamation lawsuit against – everybody always wants to sue when things aren't going their way from a political perspective. It's probably – and so I won't get into the details because they're talking about suing the DNC, suing Kamala Harris, suing the mainstream media. It's fun to talk about at parties, but in practice, those types of things are pretty difficult, aren't they, Jay?
Yeah, well, are they asking, can they sue them?
They are asking, can we sue a class action defamation lawsuit? Jay, can they sue?
I am going to go to my legal associate, Bell, to answer this question. Bell, they will need
$400 in a crayon. Did I get it right?
You, my friend, they'll have your law degree.
That's right. That's all you need. $400 in a crayon.
That's all it takes.
I don't have to pass the bar, do I?
We'll talk about that later.
It is an interesting dynamic, and you and I have talked about this for 20 years, Jay, that people say, well, can I sue? Can I sue? Well, of course you can. There will be a lawyer that will take up your case.
Yes.
But you've noted correctly for 20 years what they're really asking you, right?
Well, I've learned that with my clients, right? Because I represent employers, most of what I do. And so a client will call me and say, hey, this just happened. Can I fire this guy? And I'll say, yeah, you can fire him. Yeah, absolutely. It's your company. You can fire anybody you want to. They say, oh, okay, well, will I get sued if I fire him? Probably. Probably will. And then he thinks a little bit more and says, well, okay, if I fire him and I get sued, am I going to win? And then I'll say, well, I don't know. Who's on the jury?
Yeah,
and now, see, I have just communicated a lot of information in few words.
How do you still have any clients?
Well, I only have the ones I want, Bill.
That's fair.
And actually, right now, I've whittled it down. I'm just representing 3 clients now, Bill, and I've never been happier in my career.
Please ask Jay if the states have any standing with regard to the DNC, because we paid for a Democrat primary. Oh, so this person is wanting to know if the states themselves have any standing with regard to the political shenanigans that took place. I think that's probably more in my arena. I would answer that question, Danny, this way. States are allowed to engage in election practices in any manner they're choosing. However, the states really don't have a lot to do with the primaries. The primaries are a function of the Democrat and Republican parties, and they can pick a candidate any way they want. And even if it's the most undemocratic way imaginable, they can pick a candidate any way they want. And the expectation is that the voters will respond to whatever they're doing at the polls during the general election. That's how I would answer that question.
Yeah, I guess I would add this too, though. There are laws that apply. And if those laws are broken, somebody is generally the candidate that really has the standing to sue. It's not so much the voters, it's the candidate. Think Bush v. Gore, right? Back in 2000 when the presidential, when it came down to dangling Chaz.
Mm-hmm.
So the parties, the real party and interest in that situation is the candidate.
Right.
And then, there might be some circumstances where the state could enforce criminal laws, but just generally the candidate is really the person that has the standing.
Well, BC has just written in. Cameron, I'm going to get you in here on this because BC has asked, are you guys about to say that I can now legally own a pet raccoon in Tennessee? BC's on it. He gets it.
I want you guys to know. And we'll explain this in a minute. But yes, that is what we're going to go for. We want to repeal the law that prohibits you from owning a raccoon or caring for a raccoon as a pet in the state of Tennessee.
Jay, outside of dogs and maybe through marriage, the occasional cat, have you ever had a different type of pet?
Well, when I was a teenager, I had a snake.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Hey, I thought I saw you at the union meetings.
I was a big Alice Cooper fan, and so the snake's name was Alice.
Obviously,
Well,
I
mean,
would have
yeah.
gathered that from
You
everything.
look at Jay, go find his picture online. You can probably see it on Super Talk TV, right? I mean, look at the man's picture, and the first thing that you think is that guy is an Alice Cooper fan.
Obviously. Obviously.
What I want to know is what the hell is wrong with this state that you can't own a raccoon and I can't take my emotional support cobra into a restaurant?
Wow.
Well, here's what I'm thinking about here, Bill. I've gotten into old John Wayne movies. I missed a lot of them over the years, and I love the movie True Grit. It's just great. You know, he got nominated for an Oscar, and he's got a cat in that movie, and he lives with this Chinese guy, Chin Lee. And so this girl, you know, then she wants to meet his family, and she says, "Well, I don't count Chin Lee as a cat because they're not really, you know, you just own them." And he says, "Well, you never really own a cat; you just room with them."
That's the truth.
Yes.
That is absolutely the truth. And if you know,
I don't need to own a raccoon, but I might room with him.
I don't know what. I mean, I don't know why it is, but because they have the opposable thumb, right? I consider raccoon, and I guess maybe they are intelligent. I mean, I just consider them smarter than most in the animal
They are
kingdom.
super smart. They can get into anything, and they are jerks. They are just the worst. But my point is, why do we have dumb laws? Like, if we're conservative state, I looked at a map because somebody on the internet created a map of states where you could own a raccoon, and Tennessee was not one of them. And I'm like, well, let's fix this. And so I actually had breakfast this week, and I talked to Jack Johnson and said, Jack, did you know you can't own a raccoon? And he's like, well, we just got to find somebody to introduce it.
We got to tackle the big issues, man.
We got to get somebody to introduce this.
Jay, you might recall for years in Birmingham, and I would have lawmakers on. I tried to get the domesticated dog named as the state mammal of Alabama because, believe it or not, the domesticated dog is not the state mammal in any state in the union.
Right.
Wow.
And I thought, well, what animal gives more back to humanity than the dog?
Absolutely.
I mean, in every and every time I'd have a lawmaker on, and I would talk to them about it, they go, "Oh, that's funny, that's cute." And I'm like,
funny.
That's not funny. I'm serious. And they're like, "Oh, that's good." And then, invariably, Jay, the dadgum cat people would come out of the woodwork and ruin it all.
Well,
they'd ruin it all.
Well, the cat people are the most confused people of all time because if you're a dog person, your dog loves you too.
Yep.
If you're a cat person, that cat does not love you. If they were bigger, they would eat you. And so that's that. I just don't understand that. It's a one-way street there for the cat people.
Yeah, there's Bell. There's the cat guy. So, no, I've said for a long. I mean, y'all have probably seen it on the internet. The day in the life of a dog and day in the life of a cat. And the day in the life of the dog is, 7 o'clock, we got up, we went outside, my favorite thing. 7:20, we ate, my favorite thing. 7:25, we played ball, my favorite thing. And the cat is like, it is day 876 of my confinement.
Did I send you, Matt, the meme of how animals react differently during the pandemic?
No.
The dog says, he loves me so much, he quit his job to be with me. And the cat says, I knew that idiot would get fired one day.
Well, I'm telling y'all, my dogs, and I have 2 defective doodles. They're just weird dogs. Love them to death. But every night, same dog food. Get it out. And they jump and they do circles and they're so excited. And I'm like, man, the lights are on, but nobody's home. And that's why I love you. It's because, I got to take care of you guys. Otherwise, you're in trouble. The cat, meanwhile, murders everything and brings things back. That's what cats do.
Have you seen, there are online, Jay, you've probably seen some of this on the Twitter machine, the cat cameras. There are people that attach, cats are serial killers.
Yes.
That live among us.
Psychopaths.
Yep. And they're psychos because it is a psychopathic trait that you kill for pleasure, and cats kill for pleasure.
Yes.
They did.
So my parents had 2 cats. Obviously, this would be a little gross for you. They're Rammer and Jammer. They are
it's awful.
Farm cats. And those guys would go out, murder things, bring the parts back, arrange them at the door to be like, just so you know, this is what I do.
This is what happened.
Right.
Oh.
And
well, and Jay over there has got his Secretary of Homeland Security.
Mm-hmm.
How's she doing?
She's fine.
Oh, yeah. Well, Jay, I'm going to try Miss Vicky one more time. Let's see if we can get her in here. Miss Vicky, do you have a question or a comment for Jay St. Clair?
Yes, I do.
All right.
My friend, my son's friend, he tried to vote in Kentucky. Well, when he did, he went to the voting machine and he started to vote, and he was going to vote for Donald Trump. Well, he tried it twice, and it would not let him vote for Donald Trump.
Was he trying
And
to?
he-
I've seen
and
some of
he
the.
took a picture of it with his phone.
I think someone has sent me this video because I've seen a number of videos, and this actually there was a complaint in Nashville, Miss Vicky, and there was a complaint in Memphis as well. Of
Yes.
if you go to the polls on these touch screens, there's a little bitty tiny box. If you try to hit that box, it will confuse the machine, and sometimes it will select something that you don't pick. So what my poll workers were telling me, and what's my understanding in Kentucky, is they're telling people, don't try to hit that itty bitty box. Just tap the name, and if you tap the name, it'll be fine.
Okay.
But that's my understanding. I don't believe that there's widespread fraud going on in Kentucky where they're not letting people vote for Donald Trump. I think it's a little bit of a flaw in the system that was set up.
Yeah. Well, I went and voted yesterday, and I asked the man about it when I went to vote.
Uh-huh.
And I said, now, do I tap the name or do I tap the button? And in Carthage, they have the Xfinity machine or something like that.
Uh-huh.
And he told me to push a button. And that's the reason I was concerned about that, because we need all the Donald Trump votes we can get.
Well, you got that right, Miss Vicky. I agree with you there. Well, hopefully folks will work it out in Kentucky and they'll get the word out, not to tap that little bitty square, to tap the full name. Jay, how much money are lawyers going to make on these lawsuits that are going to be filed right after the election?
Woo-wee.
Not quite enough, but, Matt, lawyers are people too. We got to eat.
That's a lie.
Well said, Jay. Hey, I got your back.
Yeah, that's I'm just gonna let that stand without comment. How about that? That's the best I could do. Jay, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I hope you. Several people are asking me what you think Tennessee's going to do to Kentucky.
I'm really just more interested in this race. I never thought we would be where we are, Matt. And there's a lot of different ways it could go.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel good about Larson.
I do too. I don't feel good about Chase. I mean, he's got to win.
He's got to win.
And I've got to do more research. I've got to delve in, and you probably have. We're talking about NASCAR now, by the way, and you've probably done the research, Jay, and you understand it. I don't understand the resetting of the points during the playoffs. Like after each 3 races, there's a reset.
Yeah.
And I don't fully get it.
Well, it goes back to the points they earned during the regular season. You win points for winning stages.
No, I mean, does it include the stage points that you get during the postseason?
I think it does. I think you continue to accumulate them during the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, this is not interesting to me until we get to the last race and my driver's negative 43. I'm like, what the heck? What happened there? Right?
Yeah, all that it continues to accumulate during the playoffs. And he lost out on some stage points.
Everything my kids know about racing is because of Days of Thunder.
Yeah, it's a good resource, buddy.
Cold trickle, man.
It's just one of those things. Was that Bell?
That was Cameron. That was Cameron.
Well, Cameron, that's just one of those things that never happens.
He's from California. It doesn't make him. What's the line, Jay? He's from California. That makes it.
He's from California. He's not really anything. You said it, brother.
You can't pit right now. We're eating ice cream. Jay, love you, brother. Have a good weekend.
Thank you, brother.
All
Love
right,
you too.
take care. We've got Cameron Smith coming up in a moment. We're going to talk raccoons and maybe a media mischaracterization of another Trump comment, taking it out of context. But you know what? That's what the media does. We'll get Cameron's take on that as well. Final hour coming up. It's 53 after the hour on Super Talk. USSTN.com. That's the website, USSTN.com for United Structural Systems. Hello, friends. It's Matt Murphy for USS. They are so great at what they do at USS. And what do? They do waterproofing, they do foundation repair, and they do concrete leveling. That's what they do. And they're great at it. For the last 30 years, they've helped over 25,000 people in Middle Tennessee, assisting them in getting their homes right as rain, making sure that your property, which for most of us is the greatest one-time expense we'll ever spend in our lives, make sure that that property is going to protect you and your family and doesn't harm your health. Waterproofing is all about health and making sure that your health is A-OK, because if you're allowing water in, not only are you hurting the foundation of your home, you're also endangering the health of your family through musty and moldy smells and odors, and that mold can be a negative health consequence. Let's get with USSTN.com to find out how they can assist you. If you've noticed any of the telltale signs, if you don't know what those are, find out more at USSTN.com. Here's the number, 615-488-7855 for USS.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. In New York City, opening statements today in the subway chokehold trial. Marine veteran Daniel Penny accused of killing Jordan Neely last year. Each side casting Penny in a very different light. Here's Aaron Katursky outside the courthouse.
The defense said Penny was acting to protect thy neighbor. He saw Neely being insanely threatening, going after a bench filled with female passengers and leapt into action to try to protect them. A much different scenario laid out by the defense, trying to portray Neely as far more scary than prosecutors described him.
Prosecutors say Penny recklessly disregarded the risk his chokehold posed to Neely's life. Penny faces up to 15 years in prison if convicted of manslaughter. Right now in Florida, Police Chief Eric Smith says a teenager facing charges in the shooting deaths of 2 people and injuring 6 others celebrating Halloween in downtown Orlando last night.
17-year-old Jalen Dwayne Edgar has been charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder with a firearm and 6 counts of attempted first-degree murder with a firearm.
Surveillance video released by police shows a teenager with a yellow shirt and a backpack walking through a crowd at the celebration in Orlando. He raises a handgun and appears to shoot someone in the head. Seconds later, another person is shot. Police swarmed the suspect. The victims range in age from 19 to 39 years old. Police and federal law enforcement say murder suspect Nicholas Hamlet has been spotted in South Carolina. Hamlet accused of killing a person near Tellico Plains, then calling 911 using a stolen identity, claiming to be a distressed hiker being followed by a bear. After being spotted last night, police used canines and helicopters to search for Hamlet, but so far no sign of him. Police say they'll continue that search throughout the day. And the upcoming election has a lot of people tossing and turning at night, but as Sherry Preston reports, soon something else may be keeping them up.
There's a good chance in the next week or so you'll have trouble sleeping, and it won't just be because of the election. 2 days prior to the election, we will switch back to standard time from daylight saving time. You gain an extra hour of sleep, but even with that, you could find yourself dragging. The time change has been associated with health disorders and sometimes depression. Call your doctor if you're feeling it.
Right now in East Tennessee, WBIR-TV reports deputies in Sevier County found no evidence that a child trick-or-treating was hospitalized for eating THC and fentanyl-laced candy last night. Deputies say they started investigating after rumors were spread on Facebook. Deputies say they checked with all local hospitals. The hospitals reported they did not treat anyone for that. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
All right, here we go. Final hour, Matt Murphy Show, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is 6 minutes after, almost 7 minutes past. Ken Weaver's back in the newsroom gathering headlines as we speak after another award-winning newscast just finished up. Bell K's behind the glass, making sure that everything that comes out of our speakers sounds as good as possible. And here I am, yapping with a couple of, I got a writer and another talk show host, and I looked at my talk show host friend that I'm going to introduce in mere seconds, and I said, hey, we're going to talk about, it's 4 days to go before the biggest presidential election of our lifetimes, man. The most important election of our lifetimes.
Before the next one.
I look at my friend Dale Jackson and I said, we're going to talk raccoons. And he went, of course. I mean, why wouldn't we? Dale Jackson, who is just the kingmaker of the state of Alabama since I left, is here.
It was before, but yeah, we'll go with that.
What's up, Dale?
How
are you?
A lot. I'm just thrilled to be here. Be around the greatness of Matt Murphy and Cameron Smith. Oh my God.
Come on. What, are you kidding me? Dale hosts a show at WVNN in Huntsville for those that get down that way. He also hosts another show from that show is from what? What are you doing now?
5 till 9.
5 to 9?
5 to 9. Wink.
And then from 10 to 11, he's got a statewide show that broadcasts in Huntsville, Birmingham, and Montgomery. And occasionally you might hear yours truly on that.
And I do radio down in Mobile, so we got the 65 corridor covered.
We got it covered up down south. And, Alabama's, a lot like Tennessee, except with less cool stuff.
Like what?
Like Nashville.
They got rid of the Rocket, and since they got rid of the Rocket...
Is the Rocket coming back?
It's supposed to be coming back. It should be coming back.
The new rest area is open, according to my wife.
Yeah, it is open, but the Rocket is not there. They say they're going to put one there. I think it's kind of died down, so I don't know if they're going to actually do that. I suggested a giant picture of me saying, we're full, turn around. No one else is allowed in.
We don't want you.
Yeah.
Go back now.
Welcome to Alabama. Set your watches back 18 years. I can do that.
Yeah, you can say that, but then you drive across Tennessee and you're like, but same though.
All right, so I'm going to go around the room and get a take. We'll talk. Don't worry.
Don't forget the raccoons.
We're not going to forget the raccoon story.
Trash pandas. What we call them.
How confident are you that Donald Trump's winning?
Not very, but you've known me, Matt, for a long time. You both have. I've always been sort of like, I'm going to vote for Trump. I'm excited about doing it. I'm for it. I like what we're seeing here in the general election, but I'm very pessimistic about it. I've always said if the election is about Trump, he's going to lose. So the question is this election about Donald Trump and his personality, or is it about the issues, the status quo? Is it about that? Even the Democrats are standing up and saying, we can't have 4 more years of this. And so... But if it's about Donald Trump wanting to kill Liz Cheney, whether or not that's true or not, which it's not, if they can convince people that that's what it's about, then maybe people will show up and vote against him. It frustrates me. You have people telling people to lie to your wives and your friends about what you're voting for. It's just absolutely.
Have you heard that commercial?
That's weird.
It's such a weird flex. It's Julia Roberts doing the commercial,
for
and
the
she's
girls,
like,
and then there's one for the guys, and there's a guy one where they say, hey, they walk in, 3 guys walk into a voting booth, and they look like us. Okay, and they walk in, and it's obviously
3 ugly guys walk into the voting booth.
And these are guys. These are not guys who do drag queens on the weekend pretending to be these guys, because that's exactly what they seem like.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, hey, dude, are you ready to make America great again? And the other guy's like, yeah, bro, we're going to make America great again, pal. And then they walk into the voting booth, and they make googly eyes at each other across. And then the guy bubbles in Kamala Harris and who's
Tim Walz.
Tim Walz.
That's big impact, that Tim Walz guy.
Who's the weird one, right? They bubble it in, and then the voiceover is like George Clooney saying, you don't have to tell anyone. You can vote for her. You could be ashamed.
Oh,
it's like,
geez.
This is the thing, and you both know this, going back to Alabama here. Remember when Roy Moore was on the ballot?
Yeah.
I do.
And the Democrats illegally bought internet ads that said your vote will be public if you vote for Roy Moore, to try to kind of get people not to vote for Roy Moore. Now they flipped it all around. You can vote for Harris. You don't got to tell anyone. That's how great our candidate is. Don't tell anyone.
So it occurs to me.
You didn't get an answer from him on how confident he is.
Well, he's not.
Pessimistic.
I'm naturally a pessimist, and I don't like feeling this good. But if I look, Cameron and I were talking about it off air. If I look at and I don't worry about Trump versus Harris. I worry about Trump versus Trump from 2020 and 2016. And if you look at the battleground states, he's +4 to 6 in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Georgia. 2020 to 2024. So unless she gets a huge turnout, which she's not getting in early voting, unless she gets a huge turnout, I don't know how you do it other than cheating. And I'm concerned about this point. I'm concerned about what the Democrats are going to do if they do lose, because some of them are not going to take Trump.
But everybody said the same thing. What we're hearing, and the algorithms affirm this to us, is it's too close to call. It's a close election, but your candidate's probably going to win. And so when they don't, it's going to be, well, they cheated, or we should riot, or, I mean, come on. Like, we changed the laws. In 2022, we changed the ones as far as the Electoral Count Act. So when they certify the election, as far as who submits the votes to Congress, a bunch of states changed their laws to make sure those processes were there. Both candidates have challenges prepared. I feel a lot better about election integrity stuff right now. It's going to be close.
Well, and they cannot engage in some of the shady activity that went on due to COVID.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But I said that the majority of what happened in 2020 was due to Democrats hitting the ground and taking advantage of those rules.
Absolutely.
That's fair.
And vote harvesting. I mean, it's as simple as this. You go into Philadelphia, and I can point you to the areas in the districts where if you go to those apartment complexes and you turn 25 or 30% turnout into 60% turnout, you just got 40,000 votes.
Yeah, I was just in Pennsylvania.
And you don't have to ask them how they're voting.
Right. And it is hustle, right? If you have a good ground game in a place like Pennsylvania, they're so inundated with ads. I've never seen anything like it. But if you show up, shake hands, kiss babies, and you're like, hey, let's go, then that wins. It works.
Here's what's exciting to me, though. I don't like early voting. I think I know you two well enough that y'all probably agree that voting for 45 days is just weird. I mean, I don't like it.
I vote early. I like it because I don't have to
Too much
stand in line.
for shenanigans.
I just don't. So if it were my world, we'd do it differently, but we do it this way. And so we bought in. I think all three of us bought into the idea of, hey, this is the way that it works. And you might want to bank your vote because it didn't work for you in 2020 the way that we did it in 2020. And Republicans have responded. The response time, I'm looking at, I just got sent this from the Secretary of State's office in Tennessee. 2.21 million early votes in the state of Tennessee. Of those, 2.13 million were in person. 76 counties have already exceeded their in-person early voting turnout from 2020. And those are finals because the early voting ended yesterday.
Right.
That's good news if that stretches nationwide.
I think at first it was, early voting, these things are bad. And then a bunch of people were like, they did it. We should do it too. We should go vote early and we should get out there because let's face it, a lot of people see a line, they turn around, they're like, I don't want to deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
And so having an early voting period, I think it's very secure in Tennessee. I know that I show up, they have the process. It's locked down over there in Nolensville where I vote. And I think it's a great process. And I think Republicans have now said, yeah, we're going to do it. We're going to show up.
They have no choice, right? I mean, they have to play.
Right.
Like these are the rules. So you have to play. And I think Trump was smart the way he finally came around and said, go bank your vote. I mean, just go do it.
Yeah, I mean, and not to use too many football analogies on this Football Friday, but I mean, it's the difference between how most of our coaches are playing ball with the transfer portal and with NIL and Dabo Swinney.
That's exactly where it's going to go. Clemson. Yeah.
Right.
Come on, dude.
Right. Like, no, I don't like the new rules, so we're not doing that. You're going to get your ass beat, but but you got your integrity. Good for you. Congratulations.
I have my democratic norms, Matt. I'm fine. It keeps me warm at night.
Are you, where are you from a confidence meter?
I actually, and I've told you this, that when I look at 2016 and 2020 and I look at the national poll, and I understand national poll oversamples a lot of times from New York, California, Clinton lost, and she was about the 5% range. Biden won. He was about 8%. Harris is nowhere near those numbers. And so that gives me the belief of, hey, Trump's got this right now as far as it could go like all these different ways, like everybody hedges that. I just think that, look, she's not close. I think that actually helps him because there are a lot of people that wouldn't answer a polling question in those swing states of, I like Trump, but they'll vote for him.
It's all about Pennsylvania, right?
I think so.
I mean, isn't it? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's all about Pennsylvania.
I don't care.
I don't see
you should have picked the Jewish governor from the state.
Well, no, that's exactly right.
Minnesota.
I mean, if she picks Josh Shapiro, and
it's over.
I mean,
I think it's over. If she picks him, I think it's over. I mean, even though it fires up all their anti-Semites and stuff like that, even more so than they already are.
But you win Pennsylvania, you don't have to win Michigan anymore.
Yeah, you don't.
Where all the anti-Semites
are.
Yeah, I mean,
but yes, that was. But Minnesota, it was a toss-up state. You know, real.
I mean, that right there makes you question her judgment and intelligence. Right?
I know we're doing this in real time, but has there? I mean. Can you, off the top of your head, think of a worse vice presidential selection than Tim Walz?
Sarah Palin.
Sarah Palin. Yeah, see,
look,
she's
Alaska
bad.
doesn't give you anything.
It doesn't make any sense. But what they were going for is
young and female,
young, female, attractive, and they nailed all three of those. She just so happened to be easily parodyable, in which Saturday Night Live destroyed her.
Tina Fey.
I mean, they absolutely destroyed her. There was a different era. Saturday Night Live was more powerful at the time. Now, when nobody knows who even is playing Joe Biden or whatever right now, so no one knows.
Dana Carvey, by the way, does a really good job. But anyway.
Well, there we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
Old people. I'm old people.
And the media did what they always do, and they tried to destroy somebody, and she was not smart enough to hang with it. What do you read? What newspapers do you read? You know what I read? If you ask me, and I walk in this room, what do you read? Oh, the Tennessean. All the time. I'm just taking a shot in the dark. That's the name of the paper.
Right.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So,
correct. Very good.
So I mean, that's all you got to do. Not
House Conservative
everything.
Closet, by the way.
It's great, man.
Yeah. They give you a window yet?
Hey, I'll tell you what. Senator Haggerty came into the editorial board meeting. We had one. Dude cooked. He was good. I was shocked. I think of him as like Boston Consulting Group. He's a suit that he came in, pitched for the people of East Tennessee, and was just good on everything. It was awesome.
So they endorse him?
No, they don't do. No, this is what's great.
Of course not.
No. He's not even in cycle. He's not even in cycle. He called the paper and said, "Hey, can I get an editorial board meeting?" Which I'm like, "Are you sure? Like you want to do that?"
So they'll endorse him next time.
No, of course not. What planet are you on?
I hate endorsements. I think endorsements are just ego trips. And I know tacos do them. I know Dale Jackson, Mr. Kingmaker over there, he loves them.
Well, the more you hated them, the more I had to pretend
I just hate them. I just hate them with every fiber of my being. They're so ivory tower and holier than thou.
But then you can say, I did this.
But, I mean, look at the liberal the liberals are just going bonkers because Jeff Bezos said, you know what, let's not endorse anybody.
No. It's you have to have objectivity until it doesn't agree with you, and then you don't have that anymore.
Yeah.
And that's what's happened. And that's why people hate the media. Let's be honest. It's because
That's one of the reasons.
You act like you're neutral, that you're reporting the facts, that you are being an honest broker. You're not. And then when people say, let's just be neutral, then you go nuts en masse. No one over there was like, I actually think this is a great decision.
Well, they missed the point, too. LA Times didn't do it. Washington Post didn't do it. USA Today. But it didn't that got no play by the time that was already said and done.
The eighth grade reader.
Well,
no play.
Well, some of us write things that show up in the USA Today.
Really? Really?
It's true.
Oh, who would write for the USA Today?
Look,
yuck.
I am an evangelist, and I don't know. You preach to the choir.
Did they still flop those USA Todays in front of hotel room doors?
Yes,
in the morning?
I hope so. I certainly do.
No, I love what Cameron does, though. It's actually, he's right. He's speaking to the people who need to be spoken to.
No, you're right.
I mean, he that's who he's talking to, and it's good for them. I'll take up for you, Cameron.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I'm going to get it from over here, I'll tell you that.
Well, but this is the point, is we say that, folks on the left are nuts and they're crazy, and I'm like, well, not all of them. And some of them, I'll tell you, when I talk to them, they're like, but you're not the yelly type of Republican. I mean, did you think every Republican wanted to punch you in the face? And I mean, that's
where it well.
You got to pull these people over. You got to say, hey, what you're doing is nuts. It's really starting to get crazy. You might be a 1990s Democrat, but you don't want to do weird stuff to kids in terms of the transgender thing.
So somebody tells you that there's 23 genders, you don't want to punch them in the face? I do.
No,
I do. I can't help it. I do.
No,
I can't even have a
How
discussion.
could the be bisexual and there be 23 genders?
I don't understand.
It's very confusing.
You just, the obvious answer there is like, oh, cool. Can you tell me what they are?
Of course they can.
And
Sears. No, those are pronouns. Sorry.
No, but they can't, right? They absolutely can't. Like, no one seriously can do that. And if they can, they are just got all kinds of challenges, and they're probably not reading my columns anyway.
Most liberals think of you as either one of two things, dumb or racist. And you're obviously a little too smart to be dumb.
Oh, no.
You know what I'm saying?
But it is. Look, man, in politics, from the word go, it's brand and discredit. Brand and discredit. Like, oh, you actually said something favorable about Donald Trump. You must probably be a racist, and how do you treat women?
All right, I promised we would do this segment until such time that somebody brought up the fact that Dale Jackson sounds like Tom Arnold. Ding, ding, 0272 has done so, and so it's time for a break. It's 22 after the hour. Dale Jackson, talk show host in Alabama. Cameron Smith, of course, of the Tennessee, and Matt Murphy with you for another 40 minutes or so. Stand by. What's up, friends? Efficient heating and cooling. You know, during the transition from summer to fall, from fall to winter, obviously you're working the AC in the afternoons. A lot of times you're going to pump that heater in the morning, and that puts strain on your system. It can be hard to know when it's time to replace the system. I've got a name that you can trust, and that name is Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling. They're not the biggest heating and air conditioning company in the state of Tennessee. They don't desire to be the biggest. They want to service their clients with excellent customer service and get big results and tell you the truth about the matter. They don't default to new unit time. They fix what ails your system, and they get you a life of the unit that extends beyond your normal life cycle. From 10 years to 15 years, they can save you a lot of money. So call Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling when the time comes, efficienthvac.net, or call 615-784-4424, 784-4424. If your heater's not ready, call Jeff Eddy.
Police give an update on the deadly attack on the Halloween celebration in downtown Orlando. We've got that coming up at 2:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's the Dentist Newscast on Super Talk 99.7 WTN and the Matt Murphy Show. It's a joke that keeps on giving. Ken hates it. Belle hates it. One of the reasons I wouldn't say Ken hates it. I wouldn't say Ken hates anything.
Okay, 2:30. All right, yeah.
See what I did there?
Ken hates that Oklahoma doesn't have a quarterback.
Well, we got a quarterback. We just don't have anything else.
Now, don't get him started again. You're going to get him all worked up in there right before the newscast.
It's like exercise. It just gets the heart rate going.
We spent the first 4 hours of the show listening to Ken talk about the lack of
offense.
Yeah, offense and being able to get
It's
anything
very
done.
offensive.
I'm trying not to say the line that's in my head about Alabama and the fact that you have an open date, which is commonly referred to as off. Oh, look at there. If y'all had just let us beat you, you wouldn't have to take these whoopings from the likes of Vanderbilt and Tennessee.
That is so true. And yet here we are with 2 losses and still somehow have life and
12-team playoff, baby.
Everybody is kind of hating Alabama's season right now, but there's a path forward where we win out. And
no, you're right.
It's weird.
No, I mean, but you got to beat LSU.
That's true.
With the team that I'm watching.
Did you see what the backup running quarterback did? If we can convince Jalen Milroe he's not a pocket passer and just be like, how about you run, dude?
I get it.
Hey, Matt.
What is he, like 6'3", 240 pounds?
He is one of the best running backs in the country who keeps trying to throw the ball. And I need him to stop.
Yes, Bell.
Get Dale to say Florida Gators. Go Florida Gators.
Bell wants you to say go Florida Gators or some version thereof. I don't know why.
Go Gators!
Thank you.
So what's interesting, and y'all can't see from here, but Dale has brought his jean shorts into town, the cutoffs, as a Florida fan.
Now, Dale is one of the classier Florida Gator fans in as much as he doesn't wear the gold chain and the wife beaters.
I do have my bright orange pants and bright blue shirt.
For tomorrow?
Yes.
That's good.
And my new white Gator shoes.
So Dale and I we went to Jacksonville, and I kept watching the Gators beat the crap out of the Bulldogs in Jacksonville at the cocktail party, so I now refuse to go down there again. For fear that it will start. I don't really remember any of that. I vaguely remember.
I remember being there.
Remember, we were at Jacksonville Landing in the midst of Halloween, and everybody was dressed up in Halloween costumes. And I remember you. I don't know how we got it. I'm not making this story up, and I'm not proud of it. I promise you, I'm not proud of it. Somehow, I had a full bottle of vodka. I don't remember how
you
I
were
got.
Just walking around with a full bottle.
I was walking around with a full bottle of vodka, pulling off a full bottle of vodka that had a little alligator in the bottom of it. You remember that?
I do.
Yeah, vaguely. No, it was like a glass.
Didn't a girl drink like half of it?
Yes. Yeah, she was dressed up like a robot.
Right. That's in the story, right?
Vaguely, she just grabbed it like as if it was a community bottle of vodka.
All the listeners need to realize this is how you know you're alive. When you have a plastic alligator in the bottle of vodka and some woman of ill repute drinking half of it, and you're just
we don't know
ill repute.
How dare you, sir?
She was a classy Gators fan.
No, ill repute.
It's
different.
But Dale and I make a point to watch the cocktail party together, which has been a delight for the last several years for me.
Let's be honest. None of us in the SEC can be like, oh, we're really classy. Ole Miss tries, but I've been to the Grove, and
do they?
You know,
didn't they? Just
or what do they call their
didn't
thing?
They just integrate like last year? I mean, didn't that just happen?
Well, they like to tell us how classy they are.
Everybody says Auburn wears ties.
Some old racist guy.
No, some of them. I've been to Jordan-Hare. Some of them wear ties. They let out the eagle down there. And,
yeah, the Alabama
around.
pledge. There are some people in blazers. There's also people with our respective states tattooed on their body wearing overalls with no shirt. So, you know.
I did a thing years ago, and I was out for some reason. It was in 2008 because I was being invited on the sports station to do political updates for some reason. And I went on and I started talking about a study. I said, have y'all seen the new study out of Blacksburg, Virginia regarding SEC teams? And they're like, no. And I'm completely making all of this up, by the way. And I said, they did a survey and a study of fan bases from the then 12, I think it was, SEC, or maybe it was 14, SEC teams. And I was like, and Bama wins again. Congratulations to the University of Alabama. It's not even close, the percentage of your fan base that lives in trailer parks. And I just start going, it was like 28% versus 18%. I'm starting throwing out statistics. People got really, really angry at me.
Speaking of mobile homes, I was at the airport, and the lady next to me says, she's just chatting me up, something about Louisiana, whatever. And then she's like, well, actually, I'm a modular home influencer. And I said, what?
What?
And
What
she's
is
like,
that?
well, actually, the industry doesn't love me because I tell people not to finance modular homes. But yeah, I was just speaking at a conference because I put up YouTube videos about basically mobile homes. And I'm
You
like,
could have been a mobile home influencer.
Yeah, maybe.
that is a category that I cannot imagine is quite populated. But she was there, and she's
Come over to
like,
my OnlyFans.
That's what I do.
Where I'll show you my single wide. You know what I'm saying? All right, Ken Weaver's got the news on Super Talk 99.7 WT.
Good news. Looks like they cleared up that crash 65 northbound there at Wedgwood. And we've got the full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Right now in Florida, police charging 17-year-old Jalen Dwayne Edgar with 2 counts of first-degree murder with a firearm, 6 counts of attempted murder for last night's attack on a Halloween celebration in downtown Orlando.
Surveillance video captures a wave of people running from the sound of gunfire just after 1 in the morning. It also shows police officers moving in to find and apprehend the shooter.
Most of them, got a little bit of cover between them. They started scanning, seeing what was going on, and then they moved.
Orlando Police Chief Eric Smith says a 17-year-old is in custody and facing charges in the shooting that left 2 people dead and 6 more wounded.
Chief Smith says they're still investigating a motive. Right now in Middle Tennessee, Channel 4 says the Harbor View neighborhood in Donaldson votes tonight on whether to install LPR cameras. They're tired of waiting for Metro to move on it. So the Homeowners Association says it's going to cost tens of thousands of dollars. Breaks it down to about $450 a person in the neighborhood, a price tag some think is worth it.
Half of the equation is just making sure that people who are opportunist criminals know that this is the wrong neighborhood to mess with. So we're confident we could have 4 cameras to cover the area and create a kind of a virtual gate around the community.
By $450, I mean $4.50. The Homeowners Association, they're meeting tonight at 6. And elsewhere in Tennessee, the court hearing for accused Antioch Greenway killer Paul Park being pushed off until Tuesday, November 5th. Park charged with criminal homicide in the shooting death of Alyssa Lockett, who was out for a jog on the Mill Creek Greenway when she was attacked and killed. Police say they have surveillance video showing Park following Lockett from the parking lot. Officers later found her body in the woods. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
You come to a point in your life where you're not buying the cheapest of anything because it's the cheapest of anything, right? You know, I felt this one day when I walked into a big box store and bought a lawnmower, and I didn't buy the cheapest lawnmower because that's all the money I had. Well, there comes a point in your life, too, when you're up in your food game, and you up your food game by buying a slightly better cut of meat to cook on the grill, or maybe going to the farmer's market instead of going to the local grocery store to get fresh veggies. You up your food game, too, at Savory Spice. Savory Spice is a wonderful there's 2 locations, as a matter of fact. One, Elladale Market on Charlotte Pike. The other's in Franklin, just off the square in Franklin. Savory Spice is your one-stop shop for all things spices. They're locally owned by Holly and David. Good people. They give back to their community. Love seeing these guys out and about, and they are planning to be with us on election night. Savory Spice is tip-top when it comes to exotic spices that you don't get anywhere else, and they are simply the best of the best. So if you're an experienced chef or new to the kitchen, you need to go to Savory Spice. Once again, 2 locations, Franklin and Nashville in Elladale Market. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice. Glory, glory to old Georgia. Glory, glory to old Georgia. And to hell with Florida. Hello, friends. It's the Matt Murphy Show. 39 minutes after the hour. That was almost exclusively for one human being, and that was Dale Jackson, who's in studio with us in anticipation of the cocktail party. But we're talking election politics, and apparently we're talking raccoons.
Yep.
With Dale and Cameron Smith. You have discovered something about the illegality or legality of raccoon ownership in the state of Tennessee.
Yes.
Tell me what.
It is not, there's nuance here, but it's not legal to take a raccoon out of the wild and own it as a pet.
Is it, or in a related story, is it or is it not true, Dale Jackson, that you are the primary reason that the Huntsville minor league baseball team is currently called the Trash Pandas?
I wish I could take credit for that, but no, that is not the reason.
I felt like I was softballing you to take credit where you didn't deserve it.
I tried to pick a name for them that was even better, and they wanted no part of it.
Well, do you remember the name?
Yeah, it was the Madison Moonmen. They didn't want that. Instead,
oh, the Moonmen.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
Yeah, the Madison Moonmen. That's what I wanted. And then they were like, well, what if we were the Space Chimps? And I was like, I'm dead serious. And I said, let me paint a picture for you.
I don't think that's a good idea.
I said, let me paint a picture for you. You remember Fred McGriff?
I do.
Okay,
yeah,
well,
crime dog.
Well, yeah, let's say the crime dog is your first baseman.
Mm-hmm.
And he's standing out on first base one day, and you look up and you're like, oh, what's that on his hat? Oh, a monkey. So I'm like, that is not a good idea.
Not a good look.
And I told that to the owner. He's like, okay, we're going to have to do something else. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Trash Pandas is pretty good,
Yeah, let's
too.
just go with that.
I mean, yeah, Trash Pandas doesn't sound nearly as bad now that you mentioned these Space Chimps.
Yeah, you can, however, apparently, if you have a wildlife possession permit for Class 2 animals that's $31 and renewed yearly, you can own one if you get one from a licensed breeder. This all seems...
All right.
It's very specific.
It's the deep state.
You are engaging in a campaign to legalize raccoon ownership in the state of Tennessee.
Yep.
Okay.
In the bureaucracy.
Allow me to play devil's advocate.
Please.
Because I'm not against it. I mean, I'm a freedom-loving guy.
Yep.
If you want to own a raccoon, more power to. I mean, hell, the producer of this radio show owns an emotional support cobra.
That's
for
fair.
goodness sake. Yeah, so whatever. Who am I to say? Have you considered the rabies problem? There's a rabies problem.
I have 4 boys who live in my house, so yeah, I consider it rabies a problem every day.
I mean, do you want them to have rabies? I think they'd be worse.
They'll bring skulls, critters, whatever back. So the fact they don't have rabies is kind of surprising.
I'm a little concerned that your kids are bringing skulls back to the house.
Yeah, they're on top of the refrigerator. That's where we put the skulls. They go up there.
It really is true that teenage boys are a lot like dogs. My dogs bring back skulls.
Yeah, same.
It's basically the same thing.
Cool rocks, things that are broken outside, whatever.
All right, sure. I mean, but cats are little murderers, but that's another story. So you don't consider the rabies problem to be really an impediment to your effort?
Let me paint you a picture. You are a freedom-loving Tennessean, and you say, I want a raccoon for a pet. Then you go out and you trap a raccoon, and it hates you. And it doesn't, and it looks like it may be rabid or not, but it definitely wants to hurt you.
As they do. Yeah.
And they are jerks. And then you say, Well, I'm going to use my.
Well, I'd be if you go and trap me and put me in a little crate, I'd be a jerk too, Cameron.
It's fair, but then you say I'm a freedom-loving Tennessean, so I'm just going to let you go away from my trash can, and that's it. And then if I want to keep you as a pet and you bite me and claw my eyes out, then I should have to live with the consequences of my decision. I don't need a nanny state stepping in.
I feel so bad for rats. And I'm going to tell you why. Because, rats are just like squirrels with a personality issue, right?
Yeah,
and
they're smart.
You give them a fluffy tail.
Yeah.
And I feel like pandas, had they not the opposable thumb and the ability to, get into crap, I feel like we would think of them. Well, it's the cute little mask. Right, the little
trash pandas. You just said pandas, and I'm like,
I mean, not pandas. I didn't mean pandas. I meant raccoons.
Trash pandas.
Yes, trash pandas.
Matt, you have the same consideration when owning a dog that they could potentially get rabies. I mean, does the rabies vaccination work on a raccoon?
The problem with raccoons, and I think I have this right, and someone on the Super Text line will correct me if I don't, that raccoons can carry the rabies virus, but they don't become symptomatic and it doesn't kill them. So they can have the rabies virus and just act normally. It won't harm them, but if they scratch you, then you get rabies and you froth at the mouth.
So this is it is funny, but I'm also being serious at the same time. You know this, we can put out public notices and say raccoons may be rabid, you don't know. It's dangerous to go catch them, and then you're still like, but they're cuddly.
I just have a difficult time believing that if Elon Musk can shoot a rocket into space and have it come back down and land at the point that it launched, that we can't figure out a way to test raccoons for rabies so that you can test your pets. Just, like you do for dogs.
Sure. And
you can test for that. You just need some brain tissue.
Do you?
Yes. That's the problem is testing for rabies kills the animal.
Yeah, that's what Dale's saying is that we got to kill them to test for rabies. But my point is, we have these laws, and it's the state trying to protect stupid people. And I don't want to do that. I think that we should say, hey, we're going to maximize liberty, and some of you guys may not make it because you try to go make a pet raccoon. I don't need a law for your stupid.
Look,
I'm with Cameron.
I'm just, once again, I announced I'm playing devil's advocate. I'm not taking a stake or a position on this issue as of yet. But I can tell you the Super Text line is firmly in your corner. This is just illustrative of the examples that I'm giving over and over again. I'm going to read you this. 0272 says, simply, raccoons have opposable thumbs. They can open a beer.
Wow. That's the ad.
So drunk and with rabies.
Come on.
Sounds like Matt Murphy this weekend.
That is the ad right there.
Hey, Matt. I just had a tweet pop up that apparently Kamala Harris's campaign has asked Mark Cuban to stop doing interviews on her behalf because of the backlash.
Really?
Yes.
All right, I know Dale has no headphones on, so he did not hear this. Is that for real?
That it looks. I don't
Legit?
have a secondary confirmation.
The Kamala Harris campaign has asked Mark Cuban to stop acting as a surrogate voice for her campaign over the last 4 days. That's awesome.
When's she going to do Biden? Tell him, can you not?
I think that's happened.
Can you not use the talking?
You guys understand, Joe Biden voted for Donald Trump.
Do you believe? Chris Hand, our 9 to Noon host, he's all in on that. This guy has hatred in his heart for Kamala Harris.
I think Bill Clinton did too. Listen to what Bill Clinton's saying. So here's the problem with getting rid of Biden. Imagine if he was openly trying to sabotage. Imagine. Okay, so now you go out and say, "Hey, please stop doing this," and you say it publicly. Then he starts openly trying to sabotage you. He's just screwing up because he's an idiot right now.
Right.
Imagine if he's trying to openly sabotage you.
Does it, while we're on the subject, this Liz Cheney, obviously I played the clip. It's 1 minute and 20 seconds long. It's obvious what Donald Trump is saying is that
Liz Cheney.
This woman, right, this woman's a war hawk. And it's a hell of a lot harder being a war hawk if you would actually have to go into battle and take up a gun and other people are pointing guns against you, whatever. But the media is going to run with it. But does that move the needle for anybody, what they're doing right now?
No, their credibility's shot. No, I don't. No one kill credibility. Watch out. That's not I'm saying that. But the credibility on that stuff I think is kind of shot at this point. You can't say those things. Most people will be like, okay, maybe we put that on the ballot.
Right?
Maybe we put Liz Cheney on the ballot. The real problem I have with this whole thing, Matt, is she should know Her dad was called a chicken hawk over and over and over and over again. And that's all this is. It's the exact same thing. You want to send young boys to war. You want to send my friends to war. You want to do these things, but you don't want to go do it yourself. And that's all Trump is saying. And
I think it's a good, I mean, now the media is not going to give him credit for it, but it's actually a fairly good moment for Trump in that he seems to understand the serious nature of asking 20-year-old and 18-year-old men to go into battle with boots on the ground because there's real blood that gets spilled at that.
That's a real thing.
It doesn't matter. I mean, folks, there's nothing anyone is going to look at in the closing hours of this election cycle to say, oh man, it was a toss-up between Harris and Trump this way. Like
you're too close to it though. This is not for us. This is for the people who are told every day, you got to get out there and vote. It's important that you vote. It's important you do these things. Everyone needs to get out and vote. It's part of your duty. It's your duty to get out there. You can't complain if you don't vote, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the day or the election, they're going to be like, I guess I'll go to the polls. I mean, that's who it's for.
I get it, but I'm simply saying
the type of people that we fear.
Honestly. I'm just in Pennsylvania. I'm talking to my Uber driver, and she actually said it's everywhere. We have these rallies. No one knows how you even get invited to a rally. It's just happening. So we'll just go vote, but it's just kind of overwhelming. There's so much noise that it's basically like vote your conscience, like vote which way you want to go.
I think actually, I mean, and they tried like 14 different things to make her likable, to make her understandable. They missed an opportunity, and it's too late now. If they could have defined Kamala Harris as if you want to stop hearing about politics in your life, I mean, seriously,
amen.
If you want all of this to go away, vote Kamala Harris, and all of this will go away, and you don't have to hear about it every day. Otherwise, you're going to have to deal with this for another 4 years. What do you want?
Yeah, well, I mean, I just think that she is an eminently unlikable candidate that is running against a guy who his retail politics in the closing part of this campaign has been great. Like the garbage truck stuff, the McDonald's stuff. But it's pandering. You know what you do in the closing hours of a campaign?
Pander.
You pander like it's your job. He's like, what do you like? Beards? We're going to give you 100% tax deduction for having a beard.
Less beards.
Like he's just whatever. Vote for me. What do you got to lose? She's a weirdo, and that's really compelling.
By the way, the economy only added 12,000 jobs.
But they're not talking about that. I mean, that's again, that's for us. They're not talking about that. They're talking about that Donald Trump wants to kill Liz Cheney. I mean, that's what they're talking about, and they're lying.
We'll find out what Brian Wilson's talking about in just a moment as we hand off to the drive after this on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Talk 99.7 WTN, winding down our portion of the week and handing off to the drive with Brian Wilson. And here he is, Brian Wilson, with a little preview of what's coming down. Hey, Brian, what's going on? You don't want to put anybody on a firing line, do you?
No, not my intention today. Although I feel like we're always on the firing line here on this program, but we're happy to be out there fighting the good fight. I mean, look, this is a Friday show. We'll have a Monday show, and then we're in it.
Yep.
And so over the course of the next two shows, I'm going to spend a great deal of time talking about the election and all the stuff that's going on. And on Monday, I will make my official projection and predict how it's going to all come out. I'm telling you, the numbers are tight, but there is one well-known pollster out there who is saying that that the pollsters are cheating. They're playing around with the numbers, got their thumb on the scale, and I'll tell you who that is and what he thinks is going to happen.
So I look at it, and we were talking about this earlier, Brian. I do the comparison between 2016, 2020, and 2024, and I just see Trump. I don't know that Kamala Harris has the ability to get out the vote in the way that she needs to overcome some of these differences in the numbers. Now, maybe I'm being a Pollyanna, and I just want the results to be what they seem to be leaning toward. But I'm a pessimist, and I can't help but feel good about it right now.
Well, I feel cautiously optimistic is where I'm at the moment. Yeah. I'll tell you, the one thing that I do is I look at not only, I talk about the numbers a lot, and I know you and I have different opinions about the numbers, but I look at them as a snapshot in time, and you look at the trend, you average the numbers, and that gives you a more accurate number. But if the data are wrong, the data are wrong, and the projections are incorrect. So it's hard to know. Did they fix the thing with underestimating Trump in the last two election cycles? That's the big question.
Yeah.
But then I also look at anecdotal evidence, and a lot of the anecdotal evidence really looks pretty good for Trump right now.
I may be wrong in saying this, Brian, but it's my understanding that you will have not one but two sessions of Phone Your Farm Friday. Is that
you
correct?
Can absolutely count on it.
I thought I had that on good authority. Well, here he comes, friends. It's The Drive with Brian Wilson up next, right after Ken Weaver's newscast. And Ken is right now. Have a wonderful weekend. Hope everybody has a great time. Hope your team wins, unless your team is the Florida Gators, in which case I hope they lose. I hope they get destroyed. I hope that all of the Gators fans drive home to Huntsville, Alabama with tears in their eyes, in shame with their heads down.
Go Gators!
Yuck. We'll back on Monday. Until then, so long, everybody.